know you people are so lucky. All you have to do is listen to this. I have to be the one to actually do it. And that's okay. Revved up and what is this? It's Wednesday. It's a Wednesday, right, okay. Pearl Harbor Day. In infamy. They that will live in infamy. Absolutely right. Pearl Harbor Day. Of course, yesterday was Pearl Harbor Day number 2. The attack on the country by the President of the United States. That speech in Osawatomie, Kansas. We, as I promised yesterday, we have the audio sound bites from that speech. I've studied it. It's depressing. It's just depressing to actually have the most powerful man in the country aligned against it. To have the most powerful man in the country seeing this country through crosshairs. It is, well, I run the gamut of emotions. I mean, it's anger, frustration, sadness. It's just amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, this speech, if you take this speech, we've got the sound bites coming up, but I want to do a little analysis of it even before we get to it. And by the way, welcome. It's Rush Limbaugh, the EIB Network. Here's the telephone number if you want to be on the program, 800-282-2882. Look, let me just give you a sample summary of Obama's speech yesterday. The President of the United States, not Fidel Castro, not Kim Jong-il, not Mao Zedong, not Lenin, not Stalin, not Gorbachev, not Saddam Hussein, not Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, not Hugo Chavez, but the President of the United States said that while a limited government that preserves free markets speaks to our rugged individualism as Americans, such a system doesn't work and has never worked. The President of the United States said that the United States of America, as founded, has never worked. Stop and think of that. Ponder that for a moment. The president of, not the head of the SEIU, not the chairman of some congressional committee, not a Democrat presidential hopeful. The elected president of the United States said in Osawatomie, Kansas, trying to be Teddy Roosevelt, that the United States of America has never worked. That is a quote, has never worked, quote unquote. Really, what was the first Thanksgiving all about? What was George Washington's first Thanksgiving proclamation all about? What was 250 years of the greatest prosperity and standard of living known to exist in all of humanity? The President of the United States said yesterday that it has never worked. But he didn't stop there. He said that Americans must look to a more activist government that taxes more, spends more, and regulates more if the middle class is to be preserved. I can't get my mind around this. This is antithetical to me. This is foreign. This is what we have faced from our enemies since our founding, this characterization of our country. If you just substitute the word proletariat for every time he said worker or middle class in his speech, if you substitute bourgeois or capitalists for the rich, this same speech could have been given by Lenin 100 years ago. In fact, it is, my friends, and don't doubt me, the same speech that Stalin always gave, that Mao Zedong always gave, that Fidel Castro and Hugo Chavez and Kim Jong-il still give. Communist leaders around the world give this speech constantly. We've heard it all before, because class warfare is the fundamental principle of Marxism. class warfare is how Marx explained economics and explained history. In fact, class warfare is how Marx explained everything. Now, oddly enough, it's how Obama explains everything now. He blames all of the current problems on the rich. And to think some people still say Obama's not a Marxist. They won't even call him a socialist. It's willful blindness on the part of people who, I don't know what kind of state of denial you have to be in to have heard this speech yesterday or to have read this speech and to have not heard a call to arms. This is how Barack Obama plans to win the future. That's the, remember, slogan for his re-election campaign, going to win the future by channeling a president from 100 years ago. This Teddy Roosevelt, he gave this speech in 1910, the same place, Osawatomie, Kansas. He then went on to lose on at the head of the Bull Moose Party ticket, the presidential race in 1912. I don't know if he got the moderates or not. Teddy Roosevelt, I don't know. All I know is that Obama refuses to be himself. He's got to channel Lincoln, and he's got to channel FDR. He's got to channel Reagan at sometimes. He even tries to be Reagan. He tries to be Teddy Roosevelt yesterday. This is winning the future. Everything Barack Obama said he was for yesterday has been tried throughout history, over and over again. The same Marxism. It's been tried and it's failed everywhere. It's led to nothing but untold millions of dead people and incalculable misery and suffering. Now, who wants a future like that? He said some things yesterday that I don't know if he's really that dumb or if it was just written for him and he said it, but sitting there and blaming economic woes on the internet and the fact that there aren't any more travel agents or telephone operators. It's not hard to look at the internet and see how many jobs have been created, how much wealth has been created, how much growth in the economy has been created by the internet. The internet is an enemy as far as Obama is concerned. Phone operators, telephone, and he recycled his ATM business again as being indicative of lost American promise. All this automation, all this efficiency, all of this that has led to increased productivity, this guy finds to be the enemy, to be a problem. So what we have is Barack Obama, President of the United States, announcing yesterday in full voice that he is running for re-election as a socialist. You remember how in 2008 he scoffed at anyone who called him a socialist? Remember how the media went after Joe the plumber for reporting Obama told him he just wanted to spread the wealth around? Remember how we were mocked for calling Obama a socialist during the campaign? Well, yesterday, Obama announced to the world in no uncertain terms that he is a socialist, if not a Marxist. News media won't notice. Ron Fournier, who used to write for the AP, who now writes for the National Journal, wrote a piece and said that it was the best speech Obama has ever given. Not surprising, but still depressing. It's depressing. Snerdley is shouting at me that he's elated over this speech. You are elated over this speech because you think, Snerdley thinks he's elated over this because it means that we have finally flushed Obama out. No question now who the guy is. No question now what he's always been. Obama is running against me. The re-election. But he's not running against me. If he were just running against me, that'd be Barack Obama is running against the United States of America. This is what gave birth to Ronaldus Magnus. I mean, I got quotes I could give you from Reagan. I'm not going to stand by and watch a cabal of people like this single-handedly destroy the country. That's a paraphrase, but Reagan said it. And he said it back in the 60s. He said it in the 70s. He said it in the 80s as well. But wherever you go in the drive-by media, Ron Fournier's opinion of this speech is repeated. Best speech he's ever given. Yeah, did you hear how Obama talked about college degrees? Hear what he said? He said, college ought not cost $100,000. Everybody ought to be able to go there. Everybody ought to be able to go to college. It ought not cost $100,000. Mr. President, then tell all your friends in academia to start working for free. Tell the professors to start working for free. Tell the universities to let people in for nothing. Show us how this is done. No, that's not how it's done. How it's done is to take as much money from the rich, quote unquote, as he can and redistribute it. Barack Obama wants everybody poor. But there's sad little reality. The only people who are going to end up poor, if Obama succeeds, the middle class, the rich, are not going to get dinged. You're going to be told, have they ever been? I mean, all of this talk, we've had all this income gap crap my whole life. I've been hearing about it my whole life. I've been hearing a Democrat Party targeting the rich my whole life. We're going to cut them down. And they, all the while, they continue to complain about the widening gap. The rich are getting richer. How do you think that happens? It's much like the Democrat Party promising black America, you vote for us or we're going to make sure you're never discriminated against. And if you are, we're going to punish those who do it. And we're going to make sure that you're prosperous. And we're going to make sure we're going to take care of you. We're going to make sure. And after 50 years of supposed stewardship and love, compassion, black families been destroyed. Blacks are angrier than ever, unhappier than ever. After all this compassion, concern, attention offered them by the Democrat Party, after all this help, after all these decades of attacking the rich, who is it that feels like they're losing everything? It's the middle class. How does that happen? Do you ever stop to think about this? The rich are not going to get dinged. The middle class are going to be wiped out. The little guy, the supposed beneficiary of all this Marxism. I want you people who believe Obama, I want you to go around the world for me. I want you to find any socialist, Marxist, communist country. I want you to find for me a prosperous, thriving, happy middle class. I want you to find for me a country where a wall has not been built to keep them in. Boone Pickens was on MSNBC this morning. He admitted that he paid over $685 million in income taxes since he was 70. He's in his 80s. Mika Brzezinski told him it wasn't enough. We'll be back. Don't go away.
You're listening to Rush Limbaugh,
America's gift to broadcasting
on the EIB network. Now America's most scintillating talk show, The Tom Daschle Show.
Tom Daschle!
Hi, and welcome to The Tom Daschle Show. I'm Tom Daschle. Recently, I've experienced some life changes which have allowed me to take the plunge. Yes, I'm now officially a full-time talk radio host right here on the internet.
Tom Daschle!
We're simulcasting from our flagship 250-watt powerhouse right here on the reservation in Little Bear. Our trusted engineer tells me that our 2.5-bit streaming audio is sounding great today. So you shouldn't experience any problems listening today. I want to go back to the question we've been dealing with. Why did the Democrats lose the election? From Tennessee, it's Al again.
Hello, Tom. You know, I was just thinking this morning, since I came closer to winning in 2000 against George Bush, I'm uniquely qualified to say that if I had chosen to run this time, my semester at Divinity School would have come in pretty handy in dealing with the insurgent evangelicals.
I think that's enough. Everybody knows you flunked out of Divinity School, Al.
I chose to flunk out.
And we're going to choose another caller here. James from Louisiana. Hello, James.
I'm telling you, this party must be born again.
So we should repent of our past evil ways and follow the truth?
Heck no, I wasn't born yesterday. I'm just saying we need a new hula dance with a religious grass skirt.
Oh, I see. Like Jimmy Carter.
I am ready to accept your accolades.
James, you sound...
Do not doubt me.
This caller seems to be on every line.
I'm ready to accept your apologies for doubting me.
Let's go to a break.
Do not doubt me. Sorry, I did it again.
See ya. Let's go to a break. You're listening to Tom
Daschle.
Daschle right here on the Tom Daschle Show on the Internet.
Out of the Old West comes a new twist from the producers of Brokeback Mountain. Remakes of your favorite Western classics, destined to be Oscar contenders, like How the West Was Festive, Paint My Wagon, and the golden classic, He Wore a Yellow Ribbon.
What, oh chief, can I give you as a token of our friendship?
Me take 'em beads.
Never! They match my hat and my boots.
You'll never forget the boyfriends of Bobby Elder, the magnificent Stephen, or the man who spanked Liberty Valance.
Well, what are you trying to say, Pilgrim?
I want you to be my partner.
Come on, America. Join Hollywood this year as we continue to make fun of ourselves with the first in a series of new Western classics. Watch for them coming soon from the producers of Brokeback Mountain.
Spank me, Liberty! Spank me!
Attention, new.
Barack Obama yesterday said that the free market is a license to steal. A license to steal. A license to steal. This from the guy who has stolen as much wealth from the private sector as he can under the guise of stimulus spending. No, not personally. I don't mean he's enriched himself. I mean he's enriched his ideology, the Democrat Party. He's grown government. He is stealing from you and from me each and every day. Being president is what's a license to steal. Being a committee chairman is what's a license to steal. You really want to start comparing corruption, the highest levels of government, to the private sector? Have the people of this country decided that they all of a sudden now want to give up on their dreams of wealth and prosperity for themselves and their kids? Is that gone? Majority of Americans now just want to sit around and wait for whatever crumbs are redistributed from Barack Obama and his compassionate band of bureaucrats. Government has the license to steal. Government gets to steal, and it's not even called a crime. It's called liberalism, communism, socialism, Marxism, and they don't want any competition. They don't want anybody able to steal the money but themselves. Obama's people, the Occupy Wall Street crowd, heard his clarion call yesterday. All across the country, they decided to start moving into houses, just taking them over, giving these foreclosed houses to their leaders. Just take it. You're entitled. You're entitled. You're an American. You don't have anything. That's not fair. So if you see something you want, go take it. It's unfair somebody else has it and you don't. If you want it, go take it. We have a president of the United States who now endorses that very way of thinking. Here's Boone Pickens. He was on MSNBC this morning on Scarborough's show. They had a discussion about Obama's speech. Scarborough said, you have a question about the president's speech? What's your question about it?
The president's confusing me. Every time he's on TV, he says that the rich should pay their fair share. I don't know what fair share is. That's what's bothered me. I always want to be fair. And historically, I've been a very fair guy. I'm 83. I still go to work in the morning at 8 o'clock. I have 150 people work for me. And someplace in here, I feel like I'm letting the country down.
No, you don't feel like you're letting the country down, Boone. You're being told that you're letting the country down. You're being told that it's unfair. You're being told that you are behaving improperly. Scarborough said, well, Warren Buffett pays like 18%, 17% of what he makes in taxes. Is that fair? Should he pay 35%? What should he pay?
After I was 70 years old, I paid $665 million in taxes. Is that fair?
I don't know how much you made, Mr. Pickens. Why don't you give me the full numbers?
You feel like I'm not paying my fair share after $665 million, and I'm over 70 years old.
Sir, with all due respect,
That's pretty
depends
good.
on what you make.
Well, depends on what you make. With all due respect, sir, it depends on what you make. Our good old buddies at NBC. Boone Pickens, $665 million in taxes in the last 13 years, just since he turned 70. Not enough. Not enough to determine whether or not it was fair, see, because we don't know how much he made. And unless he admits how much he made, then we can't possibly determine whether or not it's fair. In other words, he may have to pay more. Just so these schlubs on this worthless network can be satisfied. So, yeah, he would. Here's the thing about it. If you were going to give a hate-filled, lie-filled, class warfare speech attacking the foundations of the American system, from which, by the way, if you're Obama, you benefit like few others in history have. And by the way, Mr. President, you haven't contributed a damn thing to this country's prosperity, but you are sure benefiting from it, but you haven't contributed an iota. It would at least be helpful, Mr. President, if you would get your straw men and your propaganda straight. May I call you Barack? You can't have rugged individualism and socialism. Let me see if I can explain this, Mr. President, in a way that you can understand. Something cannot be an apple and a walnut at the same time. Point is, you don't believe in rugged individualism. You believe in massive government. But he said during the speech, rugged individualism. He says, I'm all for it, but that it doesn't work. Look around you, Mr. President. That suit that you're wearing, the tie, those shoes, the pens that you use to sign all these executive orders, your 2 Boeing 747s, lavishly furnished, all of those helicopters, the limousines that you drive around in, all of which you use to excess. The fuel that is used by all of these modes of transportation, none of it, sir, none of it was produced by your precious government. None of it. You played 88 rounds of golf this year. Those golf clubs, golf balls, golf gloves, all the other equipment, the hot dogs you eat at basketball games, the hamburgers, when you have your Meet the Common Man photo ops, none of it produced by the government, Mr. President. And you, sir, are not capable of helping to produce any of it yourself. You are a sponge.
Now America's most scintillating talk show, The Tom Daschle Show.
Tom Daschle.
Hi, and welcome to the Tom Daschle Show. I'm Tom Daschle. Recently, I've experienced some life changes which have allowed me to take the plunge. Yes, I'm now officially a full-time talk radio host right here on the internet.
Tom Daschle.
We're simulcasting from our flagship 250-watt powerhouse right here on the reservation in Little Bear. Our trusted engineer tells me that our 2.5-bit streaming audio is sounding great today. So you shouldn't experience any problems listening today. I want to go back to the question we've been dealing with. Why did the Democrats lose the election? From Tennessee, it's Al again.
Hello, Tom. I was just thinking this morning, since I came closer to winning in 2000 against George Bush, I'm uniquely qualified to say that if I had chosen to run this time, my semester at Divinity School would have come in pretty handy in dealing with the insurgent evangelicals.
I think that's enough. Everybody knows you flunked out of Divinity School, Al.
I chose to flunk out.
And we're going to choose another caller here. James from Louisiana. Hello, James.
I'm telling you, this party must be born again.
So we should repent of our past evil ways and follow the truth?
Heck no, I wasn't born yesterday. I'm just saying we need a new hula dance with a religious grass skirt.
Oh, I see. Like Jimmy Carter.
I am ready to accept your accolade.
James, you sound...
Do not doubt me.
This caller seems to be on every line.
I'm ready to accept your apologies for doubting me.
Let's go to a break.
Do not doubt me. Sorry, I did it again.
See ya. Let's go to a break. You're listening to Tom
Daschle.
Daschle right here on the Tom Daschle Show on the Internet.
The future Limbaugh wing of the Museum of Broadcasting.
We're looking forward to putting it all together, and we hope to be able to do this, folks, without one dime of fundraising.
The Limbaugh wing of the Museum of Broadcasting will be a delight for all your senses.
There will be film strips, there will be theaters, there will be opportunities for people to gaze their eyes on the meaning of this program, not just use their ears.
Get to know some of the little people behind the scenes.
Pictures of the staff who contributed in the small way they did to the success of the program.
Special presentations for industry insiders.
We're going to tell the business secrets of this program and how it revolutionized radio in a business sense.
The future Limbaugh wing of the Museum of Broadcasting. Educational.
It will be a compilation of all the great knowledge that has been disseminated by this program to a starved mass, which has been previously deprived of this great information by virtue of the direction that the public education system has taken.
Don't forget to visit the Rogues Gallery.
By the time we open the museum, we'll have a picture of the remaining liberals on college campuses. There will be a list of Democrat politicians whose careers ended during the course of this program.
In this mecca for future historians and broadcasters, you will find everything Limbaugh.
But we will have tapes of programs. We will have highlights and examples of why this program was so successful. My plaque is an honorary member of the freshman class, U.S. House of Representatives, 1994. The golden EIB microphones will be there. Models of EIB 1. Virtually anything and everything, and the public will be clamoring to see all of these things.
Old and young will be awed by the Limbaugh legacy.
Well, it'll be a very learning experience, especially for America's children.
The Limbaugh wing of the Museum of Broadcasting. Today, it's a dream, but when his work is done, it will become a reality.
Hi, welcome back. It's Rush Limbaugh, talent on loan from God. Has got a note, an email. Rush, doesn't the White House have a television? Doesn't Obama follow the news? Doesn't he know what's happening in Europe? Maybe instead of living so much in the past, he ought to catch up a little on world events. Europe's fighting a life and death battle with socialism right before our eyes. Yeah, patently obvious. Europe is about 5 years ahead of where we're going, and we are on the same track, and we're on that track purposely. What does that tell you? Although I long ago gave up caring about Obama's motivation. I know what it is. If you can see disaster straight ahead, and you still head for it, you want the disaster. Don't tell me this guy loves the country, folks. Don't tell me that. There's no evidence. Now, Barack, if I may call you that, the free, productive, healthy country is a society of individuals, not a collection of departments or agencies or offices run by know-nothing bureaucrats. A free, productive, healthy country is a society of individuals working in their own self-interest, pursuing dreams, excellence, trying to be the best they can be, using God-given freedom and liberty to pursue happiness, as enshrined in our Declaration of Independence. It is not, a free, productive, healthy country is not a collection of departments, agencies, offices run by a bunch of bureaucrats, 1,000 federal judges, faceless, nameless bureaucrats. Folks, I don't know if you know this or not. The House of Representatives is attempting, this is almost indescribable. You can think I'm loopy. The House of Representatives is trying to pass legislation to limit the laws that can be made by bureaucrats and regulators. The only people who are constitutionally permitted to make law, federal law, are members of the United States Congress. The House of Representatives is alarmed at how much law is being written by bureaucrats in various government agencies and are writing legislation to try to limit it, and it will not pass. The Congress of the United States is attempting essentially to protect its constitutional role, and it will not survive. It will not pass this round of efforts because the Democrats in the Senate will never go for this. Barack, if I may call you that, what is your obsession with big government? Massive deficits, huge bureaucracies, endless regulations, confiscatory taxes. What is it about that turns you on? None of this creates opportunity. None of what you love, sir, creates wealth or jobs. Where has such an economic system ever worked? Where has what you love and adore ever succeeded? You say, sir, you want a more activist government. What does that mean? We're about 5 steps away from the financial cliff's edge, thanks to you. Thanks to the government, the incompetent ideologues who run it like you. What else would you like to spend money on? What else would you like to regulate? What else do you want to demonize? What else do you want to cut down to size? What else do you want to destroy? What else would you like to ban? What else in America do you want to smother and obstruct? No, Barack, if I may call you that. The problem in this country right now is one individual in particular. Not all of the rich individuals. The problem in the United States of America is one individual, and that would be you, sir. You can't decide which president to be on any given day. But one thing we can see, Barack, if I may call you that, the president you don't want to be is yourself. The reason you try to project your own image onto Lincoln or Kennedy or Roosevelt, Truman, Reagan is because you do not want the public to see you for who you are. Barack Obama. I wonder, Barack, if I may call you that, I wonder how many future presidents will want to emulate you. I wonder how many future presidents will try to be you in the future. Probably about as many presidents who have tried to emulate Jimmy Carter. The speech you gave yesterday, sir, was idiotic, shameful, actionable, incoherent, and alien to American ideals and principles. And above all else, it was pure pathetic. But as my cohort here, Mr. Snerdley, says, Barack, if I may call you that, you did the nation a great favor. You told every patriotic American-loving citizen that your view of America is not shared by them. You finally told us, after 3 years, the cat's out of the bag. After 3 years, everybody now knows why I wanted you to fail. Everybody that heard that speech now knows that you said America as founded has never worked. You have outed yourself, Barack, if I may call you that. You've come out. Maybe you'll be on the cover of the next Advocate. Because you just outed yourself, sir. You have nothing but contempt for this country. You told us yesterday. You have nothing but contempt for our economic and political system. You told us yesterday. So now, as my cohort and subservient employee, Mr. Sturdley, has observed, even the least attentive citizen knows where you stand. Even the Kardashians know. And that's a big achievement, folks. To penetrate the wall of stupidity surrounding that family, even the Paris Hilton, even Alec Baldwin's so ticked off he gets thrown off an American Airlines flight, Barack. Thank you. Norman Lear is beside himself. So is Barbara Streisand. You gave it up. There's nowhere for your supporters to hide. They can't say you have a vision as a great American. You're something else. Your vision for this country is not rooted in any, not one, American tradition. Your vision for the future of this country is not rooted in one aspect, not one single aspect of American greatness. That is what you seek to destroy. Even the least attentive citizens, even if they are only half-wits, now know to vote against you. You have hastened my retirement. I'm just kidding, Snurdly.
Rush Limbaugh, pointing the way on the EIB network. Now a message from President Barack Obama on how he plans to help Americans cope with higher gasoline prices.
My fellow Americans, I'm sure that you, like most Americans, are feeling pinched economically by higher gas prices at the pump. Recent political events in the Middle East have destabilized oil-producing nations, disrupting supply, raising prices, and calling into question America's dependence on foreign oil. As president, I would have preferred a gradual adjustment, but I can't do anything about the high cost of gasoline. But you can. Buy the all-new Chevrolet Volt, Government Motors' first full production electric car for just under $50,000. Consumer Reports said it was the only electric car that GM makes, and that it was capable of going up to 28 miles in the snow. And you can extend that range by taking along an optional 400-pound second battery.
Yes, you can buy an electric car that's slow, fuel-efficient, American-made, and more expensive than a Toyota Prius, even after a $7,500 tax credit.
The Chevrolet Volt. Last month we sold over 281. Who knows how many more we'll sell if gas prices reach an optimum of, say, $15 a gallon.
The Chevrolet Volt. Buy here, buy now.
Is your terror cell living in terror?
Now this word from the New York Times to jihadists everywhere.
Is your safe house not that safe? If you want your sleeper cell to sleep safely, read the New York Times.
Jihadists everywhere depend on the New York Times.
I saved my sleeper cell thanks to the New York Times.
For information you can't get anywhere else.
Did you know your phone calls are traced? Did you know your money transfers are being intercepted?
Now, thanks to the New York Times, you will be safe and secure.
I rerouted my terror funds thanks to the New York Times.
From Tora Bora to Tijuana, terrorists everywhere depend on the New York Times.
Because you'll find all the secret stuff that makes news meaningful to you.
Plus, exciting bonus features.
Daily attacks on the infidels by Maureen O'Dowd and Paul Al Krugman and Tom Al Friedman. Not to mention the entire front page of our newspaper, which is daily attacks on the infidels.
Gift subscriptions available.
We offer at the New York Times quantity discounts for large terror cells, educational discounts for madrasas and terrorist training camps. Read the New York Times and your sleeper cell can sleep safely.
Even in the deepest, darkest cave, you'll be the first to get inside knowledge of what the infidels have in mind to wipe you out.
New York Times, The Infidels, Jihad Journal.
Now, a message of
If you are on hold waiting to appear on this program, you are going to remain on hold until the next hour. Stay there, because you have been chosen, because Snerdley is determined that you're fit. You're worth it. I want to go to the audio sound bites now, and I want to preface our Obama Osawatomie speech sound bites with a little 2-minute excerpt of me, February 28, 2009, at the CPAC conference, this now historic speech that I gave. It's tough to pick just 2 minutes from it, but these are the 2 minutes in the speech where I warned everybody what Obama's project was.
President Obama, and take your pick of any Democrat, love to say, we've tried it your way, meaning Reaganism. We've tried it your way. We tried it your way in the 80s, it didn't work. We tried it your way last 8 years, it didn't work. Excuse me. When Obama talks about past economies, he somehow always leaves out the recession of the 80s was worse than this one. Why does he leave it out? Because, you know why he leaves it out? America leaves it out because we got out of that recession with tax cuts.
I told them to leave the applause in.
President Obama, in 6 weeks of his administration, has proposed more spending than from the founding of the country to his inauguration. Now, this is not prosperity. It is not going to engender prosperity. It's not going to create prosperity. And it is also not going to advance or promote freedom. It's going to be just the opposite. Future is not big government, self-serving politicians, powerful bureaucrats. This has been tried, tested throughout history. The result has always been disaster. President Obama, your agenda is not new, it's not change, and it's not hope. Spending...
Now, folks, I just want to remind you, that was February 2009. That's in fact, it was February 20th. So about 5 weeks after Obama had been inaugurated, and nobody was saying those things. In February of 2009, the stimulus had just been passed, and the Democrats, of course, were lauding Obama's the next great thing, never before seen anything like it. New, unique, love, unity, America loved again. The Republicans were cowering in fear in the corners. Nobody was saying that. Certainly not in national fora. Nobody was saying it. Certain Republican pollsters today would call that a personal attack on President Obama and would argue against it. In that little 2-minute excerpt, told the country that what was ahead of us was not prosperity, not enhanced and increased liberty or freedom, but more misery. And who has been right and who has been wrong? Obama, the Democrats, have been as wrong as anybody in history. And I, El Rushbo, as right as anybody in history. And now that takes us to Osawatomie, Kansas, where President Obama began by telling people where he thought he was.
It is great to be back in the state of Texas. State of Kansas.
It's just one of the 57 states. It was a slip of the tongue. Doesn't mean much. But we move on with more sound bites. The brilliant intellectual Barack Obama blaming the internet for unemployment.
Over the last few decades, huge advances in technology have allowed businesses to do more with less. And it's made it easier for them to set up shop and hire workers anywhere they want in the world. If you were a bank teller or a phone operator or a travel agent, You saw many in your profession replaced by ATMs and the internet.
Oh, we're supposed to go back to that. We're supposed to go back to phone operators at switchboards and people with patch cords patching phone calls together. You're not supposed to be able to make a phone call without going through an operator. You're not supposed to be able to find a number on it. You're supposed to have to call information to get a phone number, spend 30 seconds or 40 seconds or a minute and a half on hold waiting for somebody to look up a number for you. How many jobs, how much wealth have computers and the internet given us? Apple, Cisco, Google, Yahoo, Microsoft, eBay, Amazon, Netflix. I mean, on and on. How many jobs, how much wealth, how much prosperity, how much technological leadership has occurred in the world via the United States and the internet? Here's Barack Obama, who wants to roll it back. He's blaming it. Because phone operators and bank tellers lost their... Last time I went to the bank, there were tellers in there. As a side note, I have a piece here today from McKinsey.com, management consultancy firm. The internet is a vast mosaic of economic activity ranging from millions of daily online transactions and communications to smartphone downloads of television shows, but little is known about how the web in its entirety contributes to global growth and productivity and employment. New McKinsey research into the internet economies of the G8 nations, as well as Brazil and China, India, South Korea, Sweden, finds the web accounts for a significant and growing portion of worldwide gross domestic product. Indeed, if measured as a sector, internet-related consumption and expenditure is now bigger than agriculture or energy. And the President of the United States, in his glory, in his wailing ignorance, defiles it. In a speech to middle-class people, holding out himself as hope. On average, the internet contributes 3.4% of GDP in the 13 countries covered by the research. That's an amount the size of Spain or Canada in terms of GDP. It is growing, internet GDP, growing at a faster rate than that of Brazil, a country. And a president who everybody says is among the smartest people in the world spends time yesterday ripping it to shreds and blaming it for taking people backwards economically. This is breathtaking, maddening, infuriating, and it's also frightening that somebody this dumb has been elected.
Somebody has to have the guts to say it. Rush on the EIB Network.
New from Republican Pictures. Citizen McCain. The true-to-life story of a senator who was willing to go across the aisle.
Senator, when are you coming back?
Legendary were the accomplishments of John Foster McCain. A solid Republican senator, except for campaign finance reform, illegal immigration, tax cuts, Guantanamo.
You forgot global warming.
Having lost in his first bid for the presidency, he wins his party's nomination in 2008 with a new tactic.
I am today what I have always been, a conservative.
Citizen McCain, starring the veteran director John McCain, star of such memorable films as The McCain Mutiny, The Gang of 14, and the popular C-SPAN TV series Maverick.
I don't care if I am the only Republican in this town to vote with Ted Kennedy. He's right.
A potent figure in the media who held dominion over the Senate, McCain is somewhat cautious on the campaign trail.
I believe that the policies of Rosebud are...
Rosebud? What does he mean, Rosebud? He can't bring himself to say Barack Hussein Obama. Doesn't want to offend anyone.
Citizen McCain, playing everywhere until the first Tuesday in November.
And now, Saving the World with Al Gore Jr.
Hello, this is Albert Gore Jr. And as I said in the New York Times, I, for one, genuinely wish that the climate crisis were an illusion. But unfortunately, the reality of the danger we are courting has not been changed by the discovery of at least 2 very small mistakes in the thousands of pages of careful scientific research. Small mistakes happen every day. Ask Charlie Rangel. He went on vacation and had no idea who was paying for it. Nancy Pelosi thought it was okay to fly friends and family and associates to Washington and to Copenhagen so that they could be near her. Honest mistakes happen all the time. Ask Governor Patterson, who sent a couple of state troopers to a woman's house to deliver a Hallmark card of sympathy, and it was mistakenly caught up in the press as some sort of threat. Well, I say all that to say this, that honest mistakes are made every day by Democrats everywhere. What's a few degrees in temperature either way? Cut me some slack.
Join us next time as we once again save the world with Al Gore Jr. Most Americans think that illegal
The Internet's impact on global growth is rising rapidly. The Internet accounted for 21% of GDP growth over the last 5 years among the developed countries. The United States is the largest player in the global Internet supply ecosystem, and the President of the United States, not Fidel Castro, not Hu Jintao, the President of the United States, gives a speech yesterday blaming it for America's economic woes when he is responsible.
Attention drivers, truckers, RV owners. You enjoy driving and talking on your handheld cell phone, but don't want a ticket? Then you need the Burger and Fries Stealth Cell Phone from Crapco. The phone comes disguised as a lifelike plastic hamburger bun. Add the condiments of your choice for added realism. Stick the included wireless French fry in your ear. Then drive and chat the miles away. And in case you're pulled over by the man,
all right, Mac, you're getting a ticket for driving while using a handheld cell phone.
But, officer, I wasn't on the phone. I was just eating my burger and fries.
Oh, well, that's different. Here, you need a napkin.
Why, thank you, officer.
Plus, each Crapco Burger and Fries Stealth Cell Phone has a lifetime warranty just in case you ever have to eat it.
Hey, that's not one of those Crapco phones, is it? Let me see you take a bite out of that bun.
Sure.
Simply recover the residue and send it to us for a complete refund. The revolutionary Crapco Burger and Fries Stealth Cell Phone. Onions, pickles, ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise, and sesame seeds not included. Now, President Obama with an important message about saving Social Security.
My fellow Americans, I believe Social Security is a sacred bond of trust between America's citizens and their government. It was meant to help provide for you during retirement, and we should protect it. But it's also a huge pile of cash that we can pump up the economy with in an election year, making things seem so much better than they really are. And this time around, I want to expand the payroll tax cut by asking millionaires, billionaires, and gazillionaires to help pay for it. So now, you can spend your retirement money and a complete stranger's money in a responsible and meaningful way. Now is not the time to step on the brakes in this economy. Now is the time to step on the gas and the brakes and get this country moving again and save Social Security.
Why worry about your retirement? Call your representative now and insist that they defund Social Security for another year to save President Obama and Social Security. New from Capitol Records, Fritz Hollings.
There's corruption everywhere out there.
And James Carville.
That's right. Corruption at the highest level. Too much corrupting going on out there.
Dueling Bozos.
We all know what's causing it.
Hollings and Carville together for the first time.
So much corrupting going on there, and it's even corrupting me.
Singing the only tune they know.
Yeah, everybody's guilty. I mean, come on. Nothing we can do about it no matter where we go. We go to breakfast, we go to Wednesday afternoon square dances.
We need to change the law.
I never even knew the word exacerbate until I came to Washington. I went down to that barbecue.
Wasn't that in the Star Report?
Why was LBJ here? Who the hell cares anymore anyway? All I know is that it was corrupt then and it's exacerbating now.
Yeah, all they're out there doing is talking about Buddhist monks.
They found this woman guilty. Guilty of what?
So what are you doing about it?
So what am I doing? I'm trying to pass a constitutional amendment to make sure that nobody can give any money to politicians.
Especially politicians that fly the confetti flag.
I flew that flag, I flew it proudly.
That the
as far as
person
I'm
who was in
concerned,
charge
George
of
Bush is the one who's got to explain it. Ha ha! That's how out of whack it is. It's so corrupt, so exacerbating that a breach truck had to bring in a pork loin barbecue, a bunch of contributors, nobody he's ever met. Until we get going,
from day to day after day.
Nothing is going to get
Dueling Bozos. Available wherever this record is sold.
Now a message from the Memphis City Schools.
My fellow Memphians, be sure to sign up your kids for the free supper and midnight snack program at the Memphis City Schools this fall, and pick them up next May if you still recognize them. Memphis is America's 5th most obese city in the world, but we don't have to be. Let's go to the top of the charts with a balanced Memphis diet of barbecue pork ribs, pulled pork, pork chops, banana pudding, and butter. Yeah. Wait, what's this?
Apple slices.
What the hell can we do with that? Yeah, I know. 5 minutes in the microwave, half a stick of butter, cinnamon sugar, and ice cream. Yeah, sounds good. So if you're all shook up about fixing your kid one meal a day, drop them off here at the Memphis City Schools and spending food stamps on yourself.
Celebrity voice impression performed by celebrity voice impressionist. President Obama is not the Messiah and did not raise Elvis from the dead.
This message brought to you by the SEIU. Fixing breakfast, lunch, dinner, and assorted snacks for your children 24/7. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now a message in the public interest about PTSD, pre-traumatic stress disorder.
Does anyone you know attend a radical mosque with a jihadist imam? Does he or she attempt to reach out to Al-Qaeda, say inflammatory things online or at the workplace about America, the great Satan? At first you might think they could be an Islamic terrorist nutjob, but they are just suffering from PTSD. Pre-traumatic stress disorder.
Pre-traumatic stress disorder is caused by the stress one experiences from George W. Bush's mistaken attempt to defend our country against terrorism by sending troops overseas.
So before you jump to conclusions and get all judgmental about people who act differently than you, remember, gunning down random soldiers and shouting Allahu Akbar may just be a cry for help.
This message about pre-traumatic stress disorder brought to you by the Secretary of Homeland Security, Janet Napolitano, who's more worried about offending terrorists than protecting you. Now that you know about the costly environmental impact of hybrid vehicles, are you ready for an environmentally friendly car that will always make you feel good about yourself?
Yeah!
Then check out the all-new Virtual 6000, the world's first carbon-neutral car. From the interior to the exterior, you'll agree it's a one-of-a-kind car that stands out from all the rest. And since the Virtual 6000 is made from sturdy, recycled cardboard, the options are unlimited. Need a sunroof? Just cut one out.
Well, what about safety?
Don't worry. The Virtual 6000 just sits in the living room, so you can pretend to go anywhere, anytime, and feel safe from the threat of SUVs. The Virtual 6000 uses no gas, no batteries. It's totally carbon neutral, and at only $20,500, it costs less than any hybrid around. The Virtual 6000 from Pretend Motors. Economical and environmentally safe.
Get out of my way!
Hi, folks, and welcome back. It's Rush Limbaugh with half my brain tied behind my back. Just to make it fair, we are here at the Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies. And for a few moments longer, we're going to be reviewing Obama's admission of socialism, Marxism in his Osawatomie, Kansas speech yesterday. We're going to be reviewing Obama admitting that in his view, this country has never worked. That this country has always been fraudulent. That this country, since its founding, has never worked. Our telephone number is 800-282-2882. We're going to get to your phone calls in this hour. Now, folks, these comments that he made yesterday are dangerous. You ever heard the term the Luddites? Well, you know who they were. The Luddites, for this application, the Luddites were the first people who thought like Obama thinks, at least the first on record. They started breaking into factories and busting up the looms which were manufacturing fabric and cloth in England. These were the looms that basically launched the Industrial Revolution, which has led to unimagined wealth throughout the world. What Barack Obama said basically yesterday was he wants to go back and subsidize the horse and buggy industry. Imagine if Obama had been president during the time of the invention of the automobile. What would have happened? He would have shut it down. Because look what it did to the horse and buggy industry. Look at what the people have made buggy whips and buggies. How unfair of a country to do that to people. So yesterday, instead of the automobile ruining the country, it's the internet and ATMs and automated telephone systems. By the way, did we have computers and the internet back in December 2006, way back then, 5 years ago? Did we have the computer back then? And the internet? We did, didn't we? You know, what was the unemployment rate back then? I picked 2006 because that's the year prior to the Democrats taking over Congress. The unemployment rate in 2006 was 4.6%, not 11 or 13 or 18. It was 4.6%. And we had computers, we had the internet. What we didn't have was the Democrats running Congress. And what we didn't have was Barack Obama in the Oval Office. By the way, England back in Industrial Revolution days made breaking up those looms a capital offense. The modern-day Luddites are the Occupy Wall Street crowd. Our president celebrates them, motivates them, encourages them to continue to do nothing but sponge off of everybody else. And I'll tell you something else he did yesterday that's intolerable as far as I'm concerned. He gave a bunch of young people the idea that if they vote for him, college isn't going to cost anything. That's what that little comment about college shouldn't cost $100,000 and anybody who wants to go ought to be able to go. They just told people if they vote for him, college is going to be free. Now, we know that's not going to happen, but he lied and told people that it was. He also lied about the Bush tax cuts, claimed the Bush tax cuts were simply for the rich, but, of course, the Bush tax cuts were across the board. Everybody. And, in fact, Obama himself even admitted so. What do you mean by that, Mr. Limbaugh? When did President Obama ever think, back during the lame duck congressional session a year ago, last December, Obama refused to let the Bush tax cuts expire. Do you remember that, Mr. New Castrati? He refused to let the Bush tax cuts expire because it would do damage to the economy, forcing people to do with less. And it wasn't just the rich. He kept talking about the middle class couldn't withstand a tax increase a year ago. He said the middle class would have a tax increase if he let the Bush tax cuts expire. Mr. New Castrati, you idiot. Mr. New Castrati is representative of the wusses that are the Democrat Party these days. Oh, but yesterday, the Bush tax cuts, they were just for the rich. I don't know about you. I just wanton lying. I have trouble with it. I've been fired once for calling a guy on it. I one of those things I can't ignore. It was December 2010. They love these tax cuts so much they started calling these the Obama tax cuts. If you recall, during the lame duck session, the Democrats tried to convince people that there were new tax cuts that were enacted in the lame duck session called the Obama tax cuts. Let's, at least for this segment, let's play some more sound bites. You're up to soundbite number 22. And we get to the really disgusting meat of this speech. First, he sets up another straw man. This is enemy. This is Wall Street. And the way he describes what happens in 2008 tells you how much he despises this country and capitalism.
In 2008, the house of cards collapsed. Huge bets and huge bonuses made with other people's money on the line. Regulators who were supposed to warn us about the dangers of all this, but looked the other way.
It's all a lie.
Or didn't have the authority to look at all. It was wrong. It combined the breathtaking greed of a few with irresponsibility all across the system. And it plunged our economy and the world into a crisis from which we're still fighting to recover. It claimed the jobs and the homes and the basic security of millions of people, innocent, hardworking Americans who had met their responsibilities, but were still left holding the bag.
If you are an Obama voter, a political independent or moderate or liberal Democrat, you're listening to this, I know what you've been told about me. I know what you believe, what you think is true about me. I'm here to tell you, bottom of my heart, that practically every word in this is a lie. And you need to understand why. Let's start here. Huge bets and huge bonuses made with other people's money. You mean like John Corzine of MF Global? Over, $680 million of other people's money is lost. Corzine stole it. Just as he stole people's money as governor of New Jersey. He stole it. He made wrong bets. He bet the wrong way on the future of Europe. He'll never be prosecuted for it because he has the right view on abortion. He has the right view on immigration. He's going to remain a Democrat Party star. But he's no different than Bernie Madoff. What caused the plunge in 2008 was not Wall Street and breathtaking greed of a few. What caused that? I'm just telling you from the bottom of my heart. I would love for you to believe it, but ultimately that's up to you. But what caused the mess we're in now is a bunch of Washington politicians, primarily Democrats, forcing banks to make loans for homes to people that would never, ever have the ability to pay it back. No way. It was called a subprime mortgage crisis. And it was done in the interest of fairness and advancing the American dream. And it's rooted in the Community Redevelopment Act. Jimmy Carter's creation, Bill Clinton really amplified it. He talks about regulators here. The regulators tried to shut the program down. It was people like Barney Frank, Democrat, Chris Dodd, Democrat, who shouted down the regulators in congressional hearings and sent them running out of the rooms with their tails between their legs. It was the Democrat Party. I know what you think of me, you liberal Democrats and you independent, with people that only tune in here now and then. You think you've got the truth of me based on what you hear in the media, but I'm just telling you, there's nothing in it for me to be wrong. We all want to get this fixed. See, we all want prosperity for everybody, including you. But everybody has to do their part if you can't get there believing a bunch of lies like this. Here's a movie you ought to go see. I like this movie so much I've watched it 3 times. It's called Margin Call. It came out in October. I never heard of it until it became available on iTunes. I was just scouring around one afternoon looking for some stuff to download for a trip that I was going to be taking. I said, Margin Call looks good. What is that? It's a movie that stars Kevin Spacey and Demi Moore, Simon Baker, who has that TV show The Mentalist, Jeremy Irons, and it's about a Wall Street firm that was near the end of the line with all this worthless subprime mortgage paper, mortgage-backed securities. Now, I don't want to be a spoiler alert here, But what this firm had to do to stay solvent is what the movie is all about. Now, the movie doesn't indict a political party. It doesn't indict... If the movie tries to indict anybody, it tries to indict Wall Street. But if you know enough going in, then the movie will not affect you that way. But it does have enough factual stuff in it. It's entertaining to boot. To have you... If you have a foundation of knowledge about the subprime mortgage crisis and what brought it about, why it existed, and what was going on, this movie will be entertaining to you. Doesn't preach. It does try to make Wall Street people look bad. Some of them it tries to make look compassionate, feeling and all that, but it's not overtly punitive. It doesn't mention anybody's political party or any of that. As I say, you need a foundation of knowledge before you watch this to understand what they're talking, because they never once mentioned subprime mortgage in the whole movie. They just, the closest you get to understanding, they'll talk about this firm has to offload a bunch of MBS. If you don't know what a mortgage-backed security is, you're going to be swimming in this movie not knowing what the hell's going on. That's why I'm telling you about it. But I'm not giving you the spoiler alert. I'm not telling you how it ends. Margin Call, the movie is meant to be based on Lehman Brothers. And Jeremy Irons plays the head of the firm named John Tuld. The Lehman Brothers guy, I think, was Richard Fuld, F-U-L-D. And to me, it was like I've watched it 3 times. Just because it's good. At any rate, I'm just telling you, everything the president said here is a lie. Everything in that soundbite we played is a lie. It was the president's cronies who took care of themselves in this mess. It was the president's cronies who went to the Fed and went to the U.S. Treasury and took money for themselves and bailed themselves out, while your home value plummets to underwater status. Obama and his buddies didn't do anything to protect you. And Obama's not doing anything to protect you now. All Obama knows is he can't run on his record, so he's got to try to make you think that anybody who opposes him represents the people who destroyed the country. Well, next time you see Obama speak, you are looking at the guy who is destroying the country. Don't doubt me. Much as you might hate me, don't doubt me.
In times like these, we need him more than ever. Rush on the EIB network. What college do you dream of sending your kids to? Yale, Harvard, Princeton?
Forget it. Those are the universities of yesteryear. The school of the future is COC.
Community Organizer College.
I'm a graduate, and I just took control of General Motors. And now I'm thinking of taking over Chrysler, too. Maybe. Or selling it to an Italian bicycle company, I think.
Want your kids to run a giant company? Or even an entire industry, like healthcare, banking, or insurance? Enroll him or her at COC, Community Organizer College.
Do you want your darlings to have trillions of dollars of money to spread around? Apply to Community Organizer College. Our teachings are based on a major breakthrough in education. It's not what you know, it's what people think you know.
At COC, Community Organizer College, we don't waste time teaching English, history, math, science, or business management.
We teach cool. We teach pompous. We teach teleprompter, doublespeak, seducing the media.
Community Organizer College.
Where your kids can learn to run a company or a country. Who knows? Maybe the entire planet.
Community Organizer College. Capacity is limited. Better act now. For an application, dial 1-800-ACORN-COC.
It's not what you know. It's what people think you know.
And now, Andy Griffith for Obamacare.
1965. A lot of good things came out that year, like Medicare. And now we got us Obamacare. And this year, just like always, you're going to have your guaranteed benefits right up until the time you get sick. So all you old angry white folks out there joining the tea parties and protesting and all, just calm down and be a good cracker. Good cracker. Tell them the new rules, Barney.
Well, you see, it's like this.
Here in Washington, everybody has to play by the rules. And we've developed a rule book just for you there at home. 62,528 new rules to help you through the process of healthcare in an orderly, organized fashion. Rule number 1. There are no peanut butter and jelly sandwiches allowed in any hospital day or night, 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Rule number 2. If any named insured of a qualified plan gets sick, he or she must fill out request form 24/7.
For more information on Obamacare and how it affects those 65 and older, just get sick and you'll find out. Capitol Records presents the
I had, what was that? Somebody said something to me. I had changed my mind about something. I'm going to tell you a little bit about margin call because I just figured out you may not, when you watch this, understand what's going on. It's one of the failings of the movie. I only did because my job requires me to spend time understanding this stuff. And the movie is not going to be on DVD until December 20th, so it's available. I guess you get it at Netflix. I know it's on iTunes for rent only. You can't buy it. Ticks me off. I hate having to rent stuff. But I put in my order for the Blu-ray version. And here's I can telling you this. I'm not going to tell you how it ends. But it's based on Lehman Brothers, which was allowed. Lehman Brothers was allowed to go belly up. They were the one outfit not bailed out back during 2008. And the whole point in this movie is Lehman Brothers it's not the name of the firm in the movie, obviously, but this outfit based on Lehman Brothers, 93%, no, take it back. Put it another way. Practically all of the mortgage-backed securities they've bought from other people. Remember now, the government made people in the lending industry lend money, mortgages to people who couldn't pay it back. Those mortgages were worthless from the get-go. You loan money, enough money for a schlub who either not working or makes 20 grand a year to buy a house, you know you're not going to be paid back. But you're the only one who knows it. So what do? You package those mortgages. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are supposed to buy them. But Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are not in the equation here. So what you do is you package these mortgages, you pool them into what's called a mortgage-backed security, i.e. a stock. And you package them together and you sell them to the unsuspecting in your client base. You're selling worthless stuff. You're selling to other financial houses. You're selling to your mother. You're selling to wherever. So this firm, based on Lehman Brothers, is holding losses greater than the value of the company in mortgage-backed securities. It takes, that's what, they're holding losses if current trends continue at the time. The value of these losses is more than the company is worth, so they have to get rid of them. And the movie is all about what the company does and how it does it in offloading 93% of their bad mortgages. And the speech that's given to the brokers on the fateful day by Kevin Spacey, at that point it becomes, well, a little bit early and it becomes clear, but again, this movie will illustrate that what was happening from the first stage of making a loan to somebody who couldn't pay it back. What was happening? Okay, you package this worthless paper, you sell it to some unsuspecting financial house, client list, or whatever. You're lying to them about, yeah, there's an income stream here. These are mortgages. You keep selling worthless paper. The people who buy it, they figure out it's worthless. They sell it to another unsuspecting group, and that goes until there's nobody left to buy it. And that's what the movie's about. And I still haven't given you the spoiler on this. You can't, even if you watch this, you will not be able to attack me for telling you how it ends. I haven't done that. For some reason, the movie to me is good. I never heard of this movie until I was just browsing iTunes. I never heard of it. So, and it was out in October. But I'll tell you, I will tell you who got hurt by what Lehman Brothers did. Forget the movie. Lehman Brothers, everybody who was it that was buying these worthless mortgage-backed securities? It was not the poor. It was not the middle class. It was the clients of Lehman Brothers. It was the rich. A lot of outfits went bankrupt over this. But these financial houses were selling what they knew was worthless because they had been forced to make these loans by government in the first place. And they were selling worthless paper for high prices until the end. They were taking 63 cents on the dollar. But yeah, they were AAA rated. They were AAA rated too. But the point is, what I'm trying to make here is that the poor and the middle class, Obama, I'm still bouncing off Obama here, Snurdly. Obama, with a speech here saying that the poor and the middle class got burned by this. They didn't buy the worthless paper. The poor and the middle class didn't have the money to buy worthless paper. The poor and the middle class didn't buy mortgage-backed securities. What happened was Fannie Mae buys some of it, Freddie Mac buys some of it, and everybody along the trail got bailed out except Lehman. For some reason, maybe somebody there didn't like Fuld, maybe somebody didn't like his house in the Hamptons, maybe Fuld had thrown a 4th of July party, then they didn't invite Hank Paulson. Who the hell knows how this stuff works in this crowd circle? But somebody decided the Lehman Brothers wasn't going to get bailed out. Bear Stearns did? No. Bear Stearns doesn't exist either. But all the others got bailed out that were involved in this. But Lehman didn't. And my only point to you here is that when you watch this movie, if you do, you're going to see that Obama lying again. It was not the poor and the middle class who were buying this worthless paper. Now, in many ways, the poor and the middle class were the worthless paper. They were the ones who had been lent money that everybody knew they couldn't pay back. They're the ones in houses they couldn't make payments on, they couldn't afford to upkeep. Such a mess, and it was all brought to us by, I'll be generous here, a well-intentioned government. It's just a crock. All this crap Obama's saying is just a full-fledged crock of crap.
Now, Bill Clinton and John Edwards reach out to all Republicans running for president.
Let's face it, sexual harassment in the workplace is wrong. And you have to know where to draw the line. Yeah, just a simple, seemingly innocent gesture on your part could be interpreted as an unwanted advance. An abuse of power by a person in authority. We all know for Democrats the following gestures are still acceptable. The thong snap. Bill. The career advancement question. How would you like to be my personal videographer? Or just a plain old game of guess who? But what are the rules for Republican candidates? You might do something that's not overtly sexual, but could get you in hot water. Like making the OK sign. That hole could signify anything. A thumbs up. Part of your body sticking straight up in the air? I don't think so. And the same goes for that we're number one thing, too. And never ever put your hands near your chin. I still don't know what that means, but I'm going to find out. John, I think somebody needs you. No, it's not mine.
Hey, John, do you have any more diapers?
Why, sure. Right over there beside the Bible in my briefcase. Sexual harassment. It's a tricky business.
Now, a message from President Barack Obama about growing your small business.
In the past, small business had to hunker down during hard times like these, becoming more efficient by cutting costs and avoiding debt. But that was the old way of doing things. In today's centrally planned economy, you don't have to wait out a recession. You can end it today by borrowing big money to buy more equipment and invest in new buildings. You can even borrow to make payroll for all the green jobs you create. Take it from me. Borrowing money is fun and profitable, and there's no need to worry about collateral, loan schedules, or paying it back, because the bank got it from us, and we borrowed it from the Chinese, who got it from us in the first place. So in the end, we actually owe the money to ourselves.
End the recession today by taking out a small business loan and making your business even smaller. New from Capitol Records, Fritz Hollings.
There's corruption everywhere out there.
And James Carville.
That's right. Corruption at the highest level.
Too much corrupting going on out there.
Dueling Bozos.
We all know what's causing it.
Hollings and Carville together for the first time.
So much corrupting going on there, and it's even corrupted me.
Singing the only tune they know.
Yeah, everybody's guilty. I mean, come on.
Nothing we can do about it no matter where we go. We go to breakfast, we go to Wednesday afternoon square dances.
We need to change the law.
I never even knew the word exacerbate until I came to Washington. I went down to that barbecue.
Wasn't that in the Star Report?
Why was LBJ here? Who the hell cares anymore anyway? All I know is that it was corrupt then and it's exacerbating now.
Yeah, all they're out there doing is talking about Buddhist monks.
They found this woman guilty. Guilty of what?
So what are you doing about it?
Well, what am I doing? I'm trying to pass a constitutional amendment to make sure that nobody give any money to politicians.
Especially politicians that fly the confetti flag.
I flew that flag. I flew it proudly.
That the
as far as
person
I'm
who was in
concerned,
charge
George
of
Bush is the one that started complaining. That's how out of whack it is. It's so corrupt, so exacerbating that a breach truck had to bring in a pork flowing barbecue with a bunch of contributors nobody he's never met. Until we get going,
Circles that Capitol building from day to day after day.
Nothing is going to get
Dueling Bozos. Available wherever this record is sold.
I think I'm going to go home. I'm going to watch that movie again tonight. I'm going to tell you, folks, Lehman Brothers was Goldman Sachs' #1 competitor. And Hank Paulson used to run Goldman Sachs. And Goldman Sachs has spawned, they own everything. And Paulson was the Treasury Secretary during the crash. And Paulson and these guys are the ones that made the decision who would be bailed out and who wasn't. And so one of Goldman's chief competitors, Lehman, bye-bye. El Caputo. Now, if I really wanted to stir things up, you really want to get to the root of the subprime mortgage crisis. You really want to say who caused the problem. Be the poor and the middle class. They took the loans. Do you realize if the poor and the middle class had simply said, I don't qualify for this. There's no way I can pay this money back. I'm not. That'd have been a very patriotic thing to do. You know, most people, not everybody, most people do not incur debt that they know they'll never be able to repay. Most people who incur debt, you buy a house, buy a car, you assume that you're going to make payments on it. I'm just jabbing you. But I mean, if you wanted to go to the very beginning of the problem, of course, you know me, I love blaming the poor for everything. Steve, there's a standalone quote. That's a media tweak of the day. Steve in Chicago, as we start on the phones, I really thank you for waiting. Welcome to the program.
Rush, it's great to be on with you. Thanks for having me. It's a great day to talk about the literacy that this guy doesn't have in the financial and economic markets.
You know, Obama.
Yep, I spent 25 years practicing economics and finance, and that speech yesterday shows a scary level of financial ignorance, which he's spewing forth to people like the Occupy people, which is damaging and dangerous to the future of this nation.
Well, Let me ask you a question, Steve, because you've here said the president's knowledge of finance and so forth, capitalism, is really non-existent. He's ignorant. Is he? Is that? Do you think he's ignorant and dumb, stupid, or does he really know what he's doing here and is trying to camouflage what he's doing with ignorance? What do you think?
Rush, I will leave the motives to people smarter than me, but I can tell you he's a product of an American and global economic, or I'll say educational system that doesn't teach people how economics works. In the 1990s, early part, I had an opportunity to take Soviet company personnel around the United States. And we visited grocery stores and neighborhoods and big box retailers. And without exception, those people left this country saying government is the problem, not the solution.
And it wasn't long after that Glasnost and Perestroika failed and the Soviet Union imploded. And
it imploded because socialism/communism don't work. What you have is a system that demotivates productive behavior. It institutionalizes poverty like we've seen in this country since the late 1960s. We have spent trillions of American dollars on the war on poverty, and what we have now is worse poverty than we had when it began.
He's right. He is right. In fact, expressed as a percentage, it's the same. After all of these trillions, after all these trillions of transfer payments, the percentages of people in poverty are the same. Now, we define poverty pretty high, but still, everything's relative. And the way we define it has been pretty constant over the years. And you are exactly right. The war on poverty, the great whatever society, none of it has worked. Not one liberal program has worked.
All we have done is force the tax bill into fewer and fewer people. In 1980, 20% of Americans paid no income tax. Today, 48% pay no income tax, and the top 10% pay 70%. You cannot push that further without fundamentally destroying the opportunities that exist in this nation.
And during all of this, our exalted president tells us that the top 1%, the top 10% are not paying their fair share.
Well, the top 1% is anybody who makes more than $35,000 in the U.S. because compared to the globe, that's the top 1%. That's the wealth transfer that's going on. And for him to have the audacity to say that this system hasn't worked, look at the 19th and 20th centuries with the most explosive economic growth in the history of humanity. It was a miracle that happened, and it happened because of the Founding Fathers' belief in limited government.
Yep. He's exactly right. There is no question. So what we've done, we've subsidized poverty. I've heard stories. We've had people call this program just like this guy. Soviets, expatriates, people that used to live there, government officials, when they came here and saw the corner grocery store, their minds were blown. They'd never seen that kind of plenty. When they saw a big box store, they had no comprehension. They had no way to comprehend a Costco. It made no sense. They had no experience with that. Their experience, forget the name, but in Moscow, there was this giant big store. It had everything. Gum. That's right. It was the gum department store, except it didn't have anything. There was a shortage of everything in this store all the time. Now, the leaders never shopped there. The leaders took all the good stuff before it ended up at the gum department store. We've spent $16 trillion in the war on poverty since the 60s. The same amount of money we owe in our national debt. Gum is actually not goom, but it's spelled G-U-M. Our national debt equals what we have spent on the war on poverty. What does that tell you? Thank you, Steve. That's Steve Chicago. Great call. Michelle in Redlands, Florida. You're next on the EIB network. Hello.
Hello, Rush.
Hi.
I want to call you today to tell you that I've been listening to you since 2006. And I just want to thank you and all the rich people for giving me the opportunity to come to this country with no education, and I've succeeded. And Rush, I didn't know that I could say this, but it hurts to say that I hate this country. If I had known that it was going to be like this, I wouldn't. As soon as I become educated, I just leave.
Where did you grow up?
I was born in Jamaica.
You're born in Jamaica, and in Jamaica you hated this country.
No. Since just recently, what it has become, sir.
Oh, you hate what the country has become. Okay. A lot of us do. A lot of us are really actively angry about this, Michelle. I am actively angry. I am actively angry by that I mean I am sitting here today, I am mad.
Rush, I want to thank you so much for all the rich people because all the poor people...
Oh, this is what I like, the rich people being thanked. That's the way it ought to be. I'm just kidding, folks. I'm just kidding. But I know what you mean, Michelle. I really do. You have a level of understanding and appreciation because you did not know the kind of opportunity and plenty this country offers till you got here.
Exactly, because I had no high school education, and I have a college education. I have a degree that pays up to $60 an hour. I had a small business, and I had to put it in temporary because since 2009, I know that I'm not in business to minimize profit and maximize loss because I want to hire people. I want to help this country that has helped me, and I'm just sick of it. I am black, and I don't even want to say I don't know what is wrong with people in this country. They don't realize what they have, and they're going to lose it.
It's our education system, Michelle. Our previous caller pretty much correctly identified. It's our education system. Barack Obama's a product of it. He's a product. He's been taught to resent and hate this country. Plus, not just the education system, but his whole family. Stuff he was exposed to. But you didn't want to move to a third world country when you moved here, right?
Of course not, Rush. When I came here, I left school in ninth grade. Which is part of our elementary system there. But I couldn't afford to go to college, sir. And I didn't. When I came here, I get Pell Grant, and I was so happy.
Well,
when I came here and I went to the libraries, I was so glad to see books. Because in my country, I couldn't afford it.
What do you specifically hate about what's happening in America now?
Rush, put it this way. I'm tired of the garbage. I'm afraid of the Republican more than the Democrats. Because at least the Democrats know what they want and they're doing it. The Republicans are doing it behind the scene. And in other words, I can see the Democrats coming, but I can't see them. And I think they are even more dangerous than Barack Obama.
I need to translate this. I know exactly what you mean. What she means is she knows what the Democrats are about. She can see them coming. She doesn't see the Republicans standing up for her. She doesn't see the Republicans trying to stop it. That's what she's saying. So she's in Redlands, Florida. Michelle, thanks for the call. I sincerely. You know what, Michelle? Are you still there, Michelle?
And no one in the black community have said this man has achieved so much. And you know what, Rush?
What?
Mr. Rush, if I could give birth to 1 million Herman Cain, it would solve some of the problem in this country. And thank you for listening, sir. And you have a good day.
Well, wait a minute. You could probably do that if you met him.
Well, you know what, Rush? I'm not even going to go there, because at least he's, maybe I don't know if that's what's going on. We were told that. Nobody knows what's going on.
There's no evidence of it. That's the shame about it. There's literally no evidence that any of these allegations against Herman Cain are true.
Exactly, sir. And I don't have time to pick sense out of nonsense because I'm smarter than that. I don't need to go to Harvard or Yale. And, Rush, if these people know it so much, why are we in this mess that we're in? If they were the smartest since peanut butter, if they're the best thing since peanut butter, why are we in this mess?
Yeah, I know. You're asking the questions that countless millions of Americans are asking, and that's why they think it's a stacked deck. Which is also what you're saying. Michelle, look, it's Christmas time, and I have so many gifts here to give away, and I'm doing it randomly. And you just seem like a great candidate. I want to give. Do you have an iPad?
No, sir. I've never had an iPod.
Do you have a computer?
Yes, I do.
What kind of computer?
I have. Well, it's a Dell, which is like a desktop, and That's the one I have.
Okay, so you got a computer. All right, well, I'm gonna send you an engraved EIB Rush Limbaugh signature engraved iPad.
Oh my goodness!
Yes,
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah,
And Merry Christmas.
You will love this. It's an absolute thing, and it'll work with your Dell. So, you need to have iTunes to use it. Sure you do. It's a snap. You're smart. You can figure it out. So hang on, Mr. Snerdley will get the address that we need to send it to you. In the meantime, a quick time out here, folks. We'll be back and continue right after this.
Reverberating nationwide. Rush on the EIB network. Welcome to How Gullible Are You? Now, with today's questions, here's your genial host, Rush Limbaugh.
Did you believe Bill Clinton when he said, I did not have sex with that woman, not a single time, ever. I never asked anybody to lie. Did you believe Bill Clinton? Did you believe Bob Torricelli when he denied all the things he had to leave the Senate for? Did you believe David Axelrod when he said Obama and Blagojevich discussed his Senate replacement? Did you believe Obama's Axelrod when he said he misspoke about Obama and Blagojevich having that discussion? Did you believe Jesse Jackson Jr. when he said he met with Blagojevich for 90 minutes and pay to play never came up? When Obama said things will get better, did he mean it? Or did he misspeak?
Now, let's see how you scored with How Gullible Are You?
If you answered yes to all five, you are a liberal for life, or you are a drive-by journalist. If you answered yes to 2 or 3 of these questions, you are a moderate. And there remains hope for you if you remain a regular attendee at classes here at the Limbaugh Institute. If you answered no to all 5, you are grounded in reality and are thus cursed, because you will be forever hounded, frustrated, and driven to near insanity by the gullible who did pass this test.
Join us next time for How Gullible Are You? This has been an EIB production. Want to lead an environmentally friendly lifestyle, but your SUV and powerboat get in the way? Introducing the EIB Carbon Credit Card. With the EIB Carbon Credit Card, for every dollar you spend on yourself, an equal amount is spent on holistic carbon set-off projects, like planting trees along the border with Mexico, to reforest the Southwest, and create an impassable barrier.
We're lost, amigos. Let's go home.
You can be part of creating kelp farms in the ocean, teaching dolphins to feed penguins, harnessing the rays of the sun to power a windmill. And best of all, the EIB Carbon Credit Card isn't just for people like you. It's also great for governments, too. Go ahead. Buy a half-decaf cafe latte and comfort a whale. Buy a sweater and send life-saving ice to a polar bear cub. Or send up the space shuttle and reforest New Mexico. You can save the Earth with the new EIB Carbon Credit Card. Do you suffer from
Rod Blagojevich, the former mayor of Chicago, 14... Oh, that's right. I keep thinking the mayor of Chicago runs the state, which he does. That's why Blagojevich just got 14 years in jail. Former Governor Rod Blagojevich, who looks like a Cabbage Patch doll, 14 years in the slammer. Now, why does Blagojevich go to jail and John Corzine won't? It's a think piece. I have the answer, but once if I say something, everything's said, nothing left to be said. I'll leave that one open for somebody to take a stab at. Now, I said yesterday late in the show, Obama's speech at Osawatomie, Kansas was maybe one of the most outrageous speeches in a while. First half a dozen sound bites the Cookie delivered to me had me thinking I might. Well, I couldn't use them yesterday. I had to digest it overnight and not get into discussing it until today. to eliminate just how ridiculous, absurd, and worse what the president said was. He takes zero blame for what he's caused. He puts the blame squarely on Republicans and conservatives. Unemployment is still above 8.5%. Look at unemployment is no way under 9%. Jobs have been destroyed. The job universe is smaller. That's the only reason the unemployment rate's under 9%. Most Americans know who and where to lay the blame: Obama and his failed policies. And instead of any contrite observations on his part, we get another speech pointing finger at high-income earners demanding a tax increase. Now, the Heritage Foundation made you an offer yesterday, offering a free, abridged copy of Friedrich von Hayek's Road to Serfdom book that lays out the problems with big government. As many of you that took him up on the offer, one or more of you might have gift-wrapped your copy of the book as a holiday gift for the president, or given it away to somebody else. Heritage has plenty of copies of the book still available today. For those of you who want to take advantage of this offer, it is a fabulous book. The Road to Serfdom, Friedrich von Hayek. If you join Heritage and become a member, by the end of 2012, you'll get a copy of the book. It's heavy reading, but it's worth it. It goes a long way. And this is 40 years ago, 50 years ago this book is written. Shows you what we're up against. Shows the natural inclinations of human nature when people get power. It ought to be required reading. That, and it has a companion book. They're not giving this away, but you'll want to read it after you read Road to Serfdom. It's called The Constitution of Liberty. You get a lot when you become a Heritage member, more than just the book. A constant flow of information from the scholars and thinkers at Heritage. That's for starters. Let alone knowing your membership dollars support them. An effective communication process with elected officials in the Capitol and around the country. So just $25 or more, but the entry level is $25 to become a member of Heritage. You can do it online at askheritage.org. Very simple and so worth it. Let's see. I'm looking at a clock. Ron in Louisville. Welcome to the program, sir. Hello.
Yeah, thank you, Rush, for taking my call. I have only been listening to you for about 3 years now, but I got to tell you, you literally saved me from myself and my own doubts. When I was younger, my parents were the kind that when they had problems, the whole family helped out.
Yeah.
And now, I'm only 36, but, with a lot of people that I work with my own age, it just doesn't seem we have that mentality today that if you have problems, you'll work them out together. Everybody's out for themselves. And I'm a little nervous talking.
Well, but see, when everybody's out for themselves, it means that everybody's out for everybody else. That's what that means. Precisely what it means. Anyway, very kind of you to say that. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
How do we squeeze all this stuff in just 3 hours a day? Rush on the EIB network. 8 years after going to work for then-Governor George W. Bush, 6 years after he started working at the White House, and 2 years after being out of work with no prospect of employment, Scott McClellan now says he felt compelled to speak out for the first time in his new book, Whatever Happened to Scott McClellan.
I just remembered that things were really bad at the White House, and I think speaking out can make a difference.
This red-hot blockbuster is full of secret personal insights from Scott, like
we need to move beyond the bitter partisanship of Washington politics and just roll over.
Find out what was really going on with Karl Rove and Scooter Libby.
I was kept out of the loop by Karl and Scooter, who went behind closed doors to laugh at me behind my back.
Discover who was really behind the CIA leak.
Richard Armitage? No, I've never heard of him.
Critics are raving about whatever happened to Scott McClellan. I couldn't have written it better myself, says Anita Hill. So believable. I sent one to my pastor, says Barack Obama. And George Soros says,
Forget MoveOn.org. This is the best money I've ever invested.
Whatever happened to Scott McClellan? From Lefty Press and bookstores today, in flea markets tomorrow. New from Capitol Records, Fritz Hollings.
There's corruption everywhere out there.
And James Carville.
That's right. Corruption at the highest level.
Too much corrupting going on out there.
Dueling Bozos.
We all know what's causing it.
Hollings and Carville together for the first time.
So much corrupting going on there, and it's even corrupted me.
Singing the only tune they know.
Yeah, everybody's guilty. I mean, come on.
Nothing we can do about it no matter where we go. We go to breakfast, we go to Wednesday afternoon square dances.
We need to change the law.
I never even knew the word exacerbate until I came to Washington. I went down to that barbecue.
Wasn't that in the Star Report?
Why was LBJ here? Who the hell cares anymore anyway? All I know is that it was corrupt then and it's exacerbating now.
Yeah, all they're out there doing is talking about Buddhist monks.
They found this woman guilty. Guilty of what?
So what are you doing about it?
So what am I doing? I'm trying to pass a constitutional amendment to make sure that nobody can give any money to politicians.
Especially politicians that fly the confetti flag.
I flew that flag, I flew it proudly.
That the
as far as I'm concerned, George Bush is the one started explaining. That's how out of whack it is. It's so corrupt, so exacerbating that a breach truck had to bring in a pork-flowing barbecue with a bunch of contributors nobody he's ever met. And until we get going,
Capitol building from day to day after day.
Nothing's gonna get
Dueling Bozos. Available wherever this record is sold. What better gift for the liberal?
Bunch of smart alecks in the email. What do you mean everybody looking out for themselves means everybody's looking out for everybody else? What do you possibly... I'm glad you asked me that, you smart alecks, because I'm going to explain this when we come back.
Attention EIP affiliates. Stand by for the Rush Limbaugh promo feed. Copyright 2011. EIP Network. Start all recording devices in 3, 2, 1. Now.
Rush Limbaugh. The President of the United States said that while a limited government that preserves free markets speaks to our rugged individualism as Americans, such a system doesn't work and has never worked.
Rush.
I can't get my mind around this. This is what we have faced from our enemies since our founding. Communist leaders around the world give this speech constantly. We've heard it all before. The President of the United States said that while a limited government that preserves free markets speaks to our rugged individualism as Americans, such a system doesn't work and has never worked. I can't get my mind around this. This is what we have faced from our enemies since our founding. Communist leaders around the world give this speech constantly. We've heard it all before. Obama cannot use as a campaign slogan 4 more years.
The Rush Limbaugh Weekend Review.
Obama cannot say, re-elect me because you're going to get more of this. Because if he did, he would lose in a practically obliterating landslide. The left can never win an election being honest about who they are and what they plan to do.
Where the truth still lives.
I am energized. I am honored. I am happy to be the last man standing.
Rush Limbaugh.
I am happy to be the one lone outpost in the entire United States media where you can tune in and enjoy it and laugh and enjoy yourself and also get the truth that you're not getting anywhere else. I'm honored to hold that position.
This concludes the promo feed. Production directors everywhere. Be with us next time as we make your life easier on the EIB network. If you're an endangered Democrat in office who may be seeking new opportunities really soon, why not consider a new career as a recession Santa?
Is your seat no longer safe? Are you feeling threatened in your position as a Democratic politician? This holiday season, consider a second career as a recession Santa. After 3 years of covering for President Obama, you are uniquely qualified to lower the expectations of America's children in a way that will help further the agenda of our party. And it's so simple. What would you like for Christmas, little girl?
An Xbox 360, American Girl doll, and 2 cases of...
Well, Santa would really like to this year. But because the Republicans are being so difficult and...
Don't try to snow me, Santa. Just put it under the tree, or else.
I hate those Tea Party kids.
If you're an endangered Democrat, get a secure job as a recession Santa. And now, Andy Griffith for Obamacare.
1965. A lot of good things came out that year, like Medicare. And now we got us Obamacare. And this year, just like always, you're going to have your guaranteed benefits right up until the time you get sick. So all you old angry white folks out there joining the tea parties and protesting and all, just calm down and be a good cracker. Good cracker. Tell them the new rules, Barney. Well, you see, it's like this. Here in Washington, everybody has to play by the rules. And we've developed a rule book just for you there at home. 62,528 new rules to help you through the process of healthcare in an orderly, organized fashion. Rule number 1. There are no peanut butter and jelly sandwiches allowed in any hospital day or night, 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Rule number 2. If any named insured of a qualified plan gets sick, he or she must fill out request form 24/7.
For more information on Obamacare and how it affects those 65 and older, just get sick and you'll find out.
If we would talk to the terrorist, learn their hopes and fears, maybe we could find some common ground. And when we talk to the terrorist, surely they could tell us how many Jews should die so they'll calm down. If we just talk to the terrorist, show how nice we are, find a way that we can all agree. We could offer up some sovereign soil, maybe $100 oil. What a neat appeasement that would be. We would sit down and talk in fluent terrorese with that slightly racist President Mahmoud. We could ask him what would make Iran less mad at us. He'd say, just kill yourselves. That'll do. If we sat down with that little nut, Kim Jong mentally ill, maybe see a movie 2 or 3, and take enforced labor stadium shows, eat grass sandwiches in concentration camps powered by Clinton nuke reactors. I'm sure that he'd play nice.
I don't know. It's the strangest thing. I actually got 8 hours of sleep last night. I actually went to bed at 11. I haven't been in bed at 11 o'clock. I can't tell you how many years. And I feel like I haven't slept at all. I can't tell you how disappointing that is. At any rate, I'm not complaining. Nobody would care anyway. Great to have you back. Rush Limbaugh, the Excellence in Broadcasting Network, and the Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies. It's great to have you with us, and a phone number. I just gave you that. An email address. During the break at the top of the break before the top of the hour, I had mentioned to a caller that everybody working their own self-interest is how everybody helps everybody else out. And sure shooting, I go to the email and blistering attacks from you don't know what you're talking about. See, that's an essence of you rich people. You're so selfish. You just care about yourself, and somehow you think that's going to bring everybody else along. You don't know what you're talking about. It's amazing to me how woefully inept our economics education has been in this country. Let me define how that happens. Let me explain to you how that happens. Adam Smith wrote about this. Adam Smith had a book called The Wealth of Nations. And Adam Smith is published in 1776, by the way. That year might remind some of you people of something. 1776, The Wealth of Nations, Adam Smith. He wrote the following. It is not from the benevolence of the butcher or the brewer or the baker that we expect our dinner, but from their regard to their own interest. When you go to the grocery store, let's say you go to the meat counter and there's a guy behind the meat counter and you order. Do you think that the guy is there to help you? Purely and simply? I mean, in doing his job, yeah, you order something and he provides it for you. But what's he doing? He's trying to feed his family. He's looking out for himself. He's selling you something, hoping you buy it, because that helps him. He's looking out for himself, at the same time accommodating you. So in just that one example, the butcher, looking out for himself, he doesn't... See, the left wants you to believe that the guy selling meat should sell it to you at no cost so that he doesn't profit from what he's selling. Or the guy selling the TV set or the dishwasher, whatever, should sell it at no cost. Because if the guy makes a profit on it, then you have been screwed. And he's using you and taking advantage of you and ripping you off. When the truth is, he's not giving you a dishwasher to be nice to you. He's not selling you a TV set to be nice to you. His job isn't to make sure you've got a television set. His job is to make sure he's got one. His job is to make sure his family has food. Everybody benefits in the bargain. I'm not saying the guy behind the counter is selfish. What I'm saying is, him looking out for himself benefits everybody he comes in contact with. It's undeniable. And there must be a profit in the root. Otherwise, there's not going to be a guy behind the counter. There won't be any reason for him to be there. How does he go home and feed his family if he sells you whatever it is you're buying at the same price it cost him? But Mr. Limbaugh, it's inherently unfair that something should cost me more than it costs somebody else. Well, then why don't you go down the street and try to find it at a cheaper price? Maybe there's some other butcher selling your filet mignon at a cheaper price. Maybe he's trying to attract more customers with a cheaper price than your butcher. And maybe this guy with a lower price is selling even more filet mignon to more people, and more people are benefiting from the lower price. It's still a profit, Mr. Limbaugh, and that's obscene, and it's unfair, and it's outrageous. And this is what we're up against, folks. And these are the people, and that's the kind of thinking that our president, is inspiring. This new Castrati character of mine, they're real. They're out there. They're on the Occupy Wall Street march. They're in America's classrooms. Hell, some of them might even be your stupid kids. Your kids. Until you get hold of them and get them straightened out. That's why there's a difference in selfishness and self-interest. But everybody looking out for themselves, not in a selfish way, but in a self-interest way, benefits everybody else. The guy behind the counter selling a television set, he's got to make sure there's a lot of them there to handle the demand. He's got to make an investment in having a stock room full of the things that people might want. He's got to take a risk in how many to buy and what kind, based on the best evidence he has of what people are going to want and what they're willing to pay. This is so common sense, I can't believe I'm having to explain it. But we have to every day. Because the Mr. Castratis, the new Castratis, are everywhere, and the education system is putting them out at geometric proportions. They're pumping out illiterate people, economically illiterate people, on purpose and by design, by the millions, each and every year. In the same book, The Wealth of Nations, in the same book, Adam Smith also wrote that the butcher, or any producer, quote, intends only his own gain. And he is in this, as in many other cases, led by an invisible hand to promote an end which was no part of his intention. And by pursuing his own interest, he frequently promotes that of the society more effectively than when he intends to promote it. In other words, the butcher may not have the slightest idea what's happening. The butcher selling you a cut of beef may not have the slightest idea what he's actually doing, but we are all part of an intricate web where we all prosper and benefit from the self-interest of others, not the selfishness. Now, the Wealth of Nations was also an argument against government control. England at the time had chartered monopolies back in 1776. The king decided what companies would do what. That's what Obama wants. Folks, this country was fought for independence from people like Barack Obama. If you must know it, in straight, between-the-eyes terms. Barack Obama, if he gets where he wants to go, will become the equivalent of King George, from which our ancestors fled, from whom our ancestors fled to found this country. That's what we've done. That's who we've elected. We've elected a whole party of these people. He doesn't act by himself either. When Barack Obama acts in his own socialist self-interest, he's got a whole bunch of buddies in the bureaucracy, in the Senate, in the House, in certain governorships who are doing the same rot gut. They're trying to expand their power and their government. And they can't produce, as I said in the first hour, if Barack Obama, well, from the tie to the shoes to the suit to the airplane he flies to the food he eats, he doesn't produce one item of it, and he couldn't if his life depended on it. And here he is attacking, in his speech yesterday, the system that produces it. Self-interest is the invisible hand that Adam Smith writes about. Self-interest is the invisible hand. It's what is not seen. But today, self-interest has become greed. Self-interest is said to be selfishness and greed and so forth. And I'm going to tell you something, folks. And again, if you're a moderate independent Democrat, you hate me, you're just tuning in out of curiosity, you haven't been here very long, hate me all you want, but I don't lie to you. And I am here to tell you, the invisible hand, self-interest, everybody pursuing it, is how this society grows and prospers. Now everybody participates in it. The greed and selfishness in this country is in the White House. You'll find the greed and selfishness at all levels of government. They'll think nothing about taxing you into poverty. They will not do with 1 penny less from one year to the next. Why do they get to say what you're worth? Why do they get to say what you have to pay? Why do they get to define what's fair and what isn't? Who are they? Why do you put such blind faith in incompetent people you've never met instead of yourself? Why do you want to trust somebody who's not interested in your self-interest? Why do you want to trust somebody and give your life over to people who don't care about you nearly as much as you ever will? Is it easier than working? Is it easier than facing the daily rigors of life? For those of you who hate me, been told to hate me, let me give you some reason to here. For the fun of it. I'll tell you another truth. Self-interest, capitalism, has fed more people than charity ever has. Capitalism and self-interest has fed and clothed and driven, however and whatever you want to describe, more people than charity ever has. Are you putting down charity? No, I'm not putting down charity. I'm trying to educate you idiots. I'm putting down what you believe in. You know why there wasn't any meat in the Goom store in the Soviet Union? Because it didn't matter to the guy behind the counter. There was no profit in providing meat or toilet paper or whatever. They did it the way Obama wants to do it. They did it the way Mr. New Castrati wants to do it. No profit. Whatever's there cost you whatever it cost whoever to put it there, except there was never very much there. Because there was no incentive to have it there. A quick timeout. We'll be back. We will continue with your phone calls. And we got some audio sound bites from Republican Party consultants dumping on me and others. If we get to all that, right after this. Don't go away.
This Christmas, make everyone on your list go. With the new Quad Pack collection at paulshanklin.com. All 4 of Shanklin's hilarious parody CDs at one low price. Plus, free priority shipping. Available now at paulshanklin.com. Paul, SHANKLIN.com. You're listening to the EIB Network. Now, continuing coverage on the countdown to disaster. As the clock runs out on the nation's debt ceiling limit, President Obama speaks again.
My fellow Americans, in just a few days, the United States government will run out of money, which is driving the Asian markets crazy.
You cut spending, grow economy, pay back debt.
See what I mean? Crazy. Checks to our seniors, our soldiers, and the unemployed are all in jeopardy because I will spend what little money we have left on green jobs and other important initiatives that we have.
Shut up. Make plan, pay debt.
A plan?
You are ineffective.
I did get those apples in the Happy Meals.
Stay tuned for continuing coverage on the countdown to disaster. Be an army of at least one. By volunteering for duty as a DNC seminar caller, you'll receive advanced basic training from our sensitive, caring professionals.
What's your number, soldier?
1-800-282-2885.
How you gonna make it past the call screen if you don't know the number? Drop and give me 20 on the rotary dial. The rest of you, repeat after me. I love your show, and I always agree with you. And I voted for Bush.
And you'll earn promotions and medals.
Son, we're very proud of you. What's that medal for?
This one's for touch tone. This is for getting past the call screener, and this big one here is for actually talking to the host and flawlessly saying, I love your show, I always agree with you, and I voted for Bush.
Be on radio and say what we want you to say. All scripts provided by the Democratic National Committee. Help us take back our monopoly on public opinion. Volunteers especially needed from noon to 3 Eastern. Now, an urgent global warming message from Albert Gore Jr.
The more we study global warming, the more we learn. Take cow flatulence, for instance. Recent studies have shown that the abundance of gas from cow flatulence is more dangerous than automobile emissions. So right here on my Tennessee farm, we're studying new holistic farming methods to reduce cow flatulence. We've already stopped the emission of gas from Gertrude here by using nothing but natural cork. Then, we've gently massaged her to reduce stress and anxiety, the root causes of cow flatulence. Now, we'll apply acupuncture to... Oh, darn. Lost another one. Well, science is a continual learning process. Can somebody get me a handy wipe? Make that 2.
You know, folks, it's tough trying to find gifts for everybody on your list, friends, neighbors, coworkers. Yeah, it's tough to decide, okay, to who do you give a gift to and where does it stop? Best thing to do is just keep it simple and get something that you know everybody's going to enjoy, and it can be unique, too, and it's not hard to do. I go through this every year, struggling, who do I give what to, where do I stop it? What if they all talk to each other and I find somebody got something and somebody else didn't and I got problems? Hey, we all go through this. So I have a simple solution. Just like last year, giant, freshly dipped strawberries from Sherry's Berries. And you know what? The price hasn't gone up. They're just still $19.99. These are huge, biggest strawberries I've ever seen. The most delicious. They're dipped in white milk and dark chocolate. Their hand is almost like they're hand-painted. Some of them are covered with chocolate chips or crushed almonds, decorative swizzle, cookies and cheesecake and cake pops you can add to this. And what happens, you're going to send these things to people, and they're going to want to know where they can get it to serve themselves. Perfect treat to send to family and friends that you won't get to see this season, or you can order them for your own party. And if you want, you could double the berries for just $10 more, so you could get twice the number for just $29.99. Now, to do all this, to get the special $19.99 Sherry's Berry offer, just call 866-FRUIT-02. That's the number. But there's even better is the website, rushberries.com. Berries, rushberries.com. You really, if you haven't seen these yet, Sherry's Berries, you have to see these things to believe how big they are and how delicious. Just go to rushberries.com and order, by the way, before midnight Friday. That's when the current deal that they're running expires. All right, Lori, who can't say where she is. Is that right? She's worried about lawsuits. She can't say where she is. Lori, welcome to the EIB network. And you're worried about lawsuits from what you're going to say here?
Well, it's possible, Rush. And by the way, it's an honor to speak to you.
Thank you.
I worked as both a packager and an advertising executive for a mortgage brokerage firm. I saw the rise and fall of the housing market, and what infuriates me about when Obama speaks, or Barney Frank, or anyone else who talks about these mortgage-backed securities and everything that happened, is that nobody knows the real truth about what goes on in the mortgage business and why it failed. It's not just people going to the bank, getting a loan, paying the bank back. In the late 90s and early 2000s, when real estate prices were sharply on the rise, anywhere between 99 and 03, depending upon what part of the country you lived in, housing prices were on the rise dramatically. And there was a lot of pressure at Fannie and Freddie to get mortgages out the door. We had a representative from FHA, HUD, Fannie, and Freddie, all of which visited this mortgage brokerage office. And when Fannie began this idea of packaging these things as securities and grouping them together, you'll find that the number of mortgage brokers for residential mortgages in the country skyrocketed because they were suddenly getting what we call wholesale lines of credits from banks. So mortgage company A or B goes to the bank and he gets a $15 million line of credit called a wholesale line. He fills that line up with mortgages, and then they're guaranteed they're bought off. Fannie and Freddie buy them up immediately, repackage them, or leave them whole, and send them out to places like Lehman Brothers. And I worked for a company...
Wait, hold a minute. Why would somebody like Lehman Brothers buy these things?
Well, at the time, no one knew that they were insolvent, number one.
Why? These were mortgages that were, a lot of them... I'm sure you're not talking explicitly here about subprime, but a lot of these mortgages were made to people that weren't paying back. There wasn't an income stream on these mortgages.
Here's the problem. People talk about subprime. I'll bet 95% of the mortgages that went out of our office were subprime, even if they weren't rated that way, because I'll tell you the pressure we got from somebody else. We used to get visits by our credit representatives from the 3 major credit bureaus. They were under a lot of pressure to develop a program to allow people to, quote-unquote, fix their credit faster.
Right. Well,
for loans.
Who was the source of this pressure, Lori?
Well, according to the people from the Credit Managers Bureau, they were getting that pressure from Congress and FHA and Fannie and Freddie that they weren't doing enough to help people
government
get credit.
The government.
Yeah, they weren't doing that. The credit agencies were being unfair because they weren't doing enough to allow people who had financial problems to fix their credit. So here's what happened. It went from, maybe it took a long time to fix your credit, to what we call a rapid rescore process. Our office could literally, in one day, take everybody's bad credit issues, write a one-line sentence about each one, fax it over to the credit bureau that we were members of, that we paid to be members of, and boom, within an hour, they were dropped off and their credit was rescored.
Why? Why would this be done?
Why? You tell me. Because people wanted people to qualify for mortgages. Especially the beginning of this problem was what they call non-income qual mortgages. People who were self-employed, didn't have 1099s or W-2s.
Wait, what are we hearing? Non-income mortgages.
Yeah, that was the original part of this rapid rescore and this problem, is if you had a business, or you were a small business person and you didn't necessarily have a 1099 or W-2, or your books didn't show, or you didn't want it to show that you had enough to pay for this loan, all you had to do was walk in the door with a credit score of greater than 700.
Okay.
And I can tell you that if you were anywhere north of 580, we could rapid rescore you into 700 within an hour.
And let me cut to the chase here. So everything that's happened since all this fell apart is all these people that you had to deal with that were forcing all this credit readjustment, all this stuff being, all the crime labs, all the churn, all the volume, all this was everything being said now is by people that cover their rear ends.
Yeah, and then, then what happened is I ended up going to work for a firm on the East Coast that saw the beginning of the end here and tried to start buying small portions of these packages from people like Lehman Brothers because they knew they wouldn't get bailed out because they weren't Goldman Sachs. I got
a break. I got a break in 5 seconds. Don't lose your train of thought. We'll come back to you after this obscene profit timeout, which it does not consist of any mortgage company.
Now, Albert Gore Jr. with one more way you can save the planet.
Instead of driving, try riding your bicycle to work and simplify your life. If only 1 in 5 Americans did this, we would save 196 billion barrels of oil every day. Ride a bike created from recycled metal from a manufacturer that uses at least 50% solar or wind power. Instead of air, try filling your tires with CO2 by blowing them up with your lips, like a balloon, trapping this dangerous greenhouse gas. Don't forget to reduce your use of harmful plastics by going seatless. You'll be surprised at the results of taking plastic out of your carbon footprint. Be sure and wear proper earth-friendly attire. Create your own hand-knitted shorts from discarded dryer lint, gathered from the dumpster behind your local washateria. Create nifty sandals from newspaper and rubber bands and twist ties and pieces of string that you find along.
You're over time. We need to cut.
We can't cut it anymore. I won't have time to tell them how to simplify their life.
In the past, people who suffered from restless leg syndrome were thought to be unable to lead a healthy, productive life. But here at the Restless Leg Institute, we've helped literally thousands of victims of restless leg syndrome become independent and go on to live happy, successful, productive lives, like Rachel here. Her tap lessons have really changed things, opening doors to many opportunities she would have missed. Or take Matthew here by riding the stationary bicycle equipped with a 200,000 kilowatt generator. Matthew provides a safe, clean alternative energy source to the Institute and 32 surrounding homes. Are you tired yet, son?
No, sir.
Graduates from the Institute include Pele, Elvis Presley, and the entire cast of Riverdance. So if you or someone you know suffers from restless leg syndrome, tell them about the Restless Leg Institute before it's too late. Now, something new yet familiar to everyone. It's Ron Artest.
Hey, yo, fool, stop with the old school rap and bust it with the now. You gotta do representing for me, Ron Artest.
Word up to all peeps, some fresh tracks been laying down.
What up? This Ron Artest, busting out with the soft with some old school oldies with a fresh twist. Ain't no suspension long enough. There ain't no fines that are big enough. Ain't no jail term long enough to keep me from beating on you.
And I really mean hits.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Gonna find out what it means to me. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. You better not be dissing me, yo.
Spreading the love.
Peeps all over the world, join hands, make a love train or I'll beat your brain.
True warrior even does Streisand.
Peeps. Peeps who beat other peeps are the happiest peeps in the world.
Ron Artest does the oldies with a fresh twist and a clenched fist.
He's a jolly good fella, and I'm a jolly good fella. We are jolly good felons, and if you don't agree, you'll die.
Getting real.
Baby, 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 where did my pay go? Endorsements done left me now. I need me a new loan, you know?
Ron Artest, oldies with a fresh twist. From Concussion Records.
Yeah, we put the con back in concussion.
Available at NBA games and bail bondsmen everywhere.
True that.
So this is funny. Michael Moore was reading the Washington Post the other day, and he read that Obama has collected more campaign donations from Wall Street banks than all of the Republican candidates combined. So now he's beside himself. He was on CNN. He's beside, what does this mean? Wall Street's got their guy, and it's Obama? Whoa. His world's been turned upside down. I tried to tell you people on the left, I tried to tell you Wall Street is liberal Democrat and its money is going to Obama. And if any of you think that Wall Street is going to take any kind of a financial hit if Obama gets his way after that speech yesterday, you have got a big wake-up call coming. Back now to Lori, who can't say where she is because she fears lawsuits. She was in the mortgage business. You know, I checked some emails during the break here, Lori, and you know what? People are reacting to your call. I mean, it's tough to pick one thing, but your description of the rapid rescoring of consumer credit has sent people through the roof.
It should.
Yeah, it should. Because people's credit scores were just restored to 700 to perfect just to qualify them for mortgages.
Yeah, and it took literally less than 15 minutes at the end of the day. I mean, we could fax it over and have it faxed back and rapid rescored. Now, did that hold? If 6 months later they applied for credit, was that still there? No, oftentimes it wasn't. Which means that's all it was for. That's all. You couldn't rapid rescore for a
okay.
So
wait. You got to let me in here for questions because this is blockbuster. So the rapid rescore was a temporary rescore just to get people a mortgage, but that credit rating didn't survive if they tried to use it for anything else.
It wouldn't survive the next update from the credit bureau, from whichever of the major three. If they're doing it quarterly, monthly, the next time that update came along, everything was back on. Everything was like it was before. I actually knew people who had friends that owned mortgage businesses, and they would go in there to have them rescore them so that they could go get a car loan.
Right. Okay. So, I'll tell you who's really ticked off about this. They're hearing your call. Is all these people played by the rules. They didn't buy anything they couldn't afford. They and now what you're basically saying is that people who were unqualified were qualified on a temporary basis to go buy whatever they wanted, and then that paper, that mortgage, it was packaged with a bunch of other mortgages and sent down the trail where they tried to find value in it somewhere else along the line.
Absolutely, and the people that played by the rules that got hurt by that were just the beginning of the bargain. I worked for a company then on the East Coast that went to work and started to buy small packages of mortgages that had already started to go bad. The first package they bought was from Lehman Brothers. And because these people were very savvy investors and real estate prices were still on the rise, they would negotiate these people out of their homes. They would give them what they could. They would take the homes back. They would sell them again to qualified buyers. And for a very short period of time, this was successful. But if somebody wants to spend some time and Google this, at least 4 different states, prosecutors in at least 4 different states, sued 3 of these groups doing this under RICO statutes. I got scooped up in that. That's why I'm worried. I had to testify at 3 of those trials because somebody at the end of the day came back and said, well, they negotiated me out of my house, and I should have gotten more because real estate prices were still on the rise.
What does that mean, they negotiated me out of my house?
Well, these groups would buy these mortgages that were already late from companies that had bought mortgage-backed securities that had started to get the idea that these things were going to go bad. Because here's the problem. The vast majority of, especially the non-income qualifying loans that were given out during this period of time, and a huge majority of just regular loans were called ARMs. They were adjustable rate mortgages. And 95% of them, I would bet you, were 2- and 3-year ARMs, given between 04 and 05.
Oh, jeez.
So at the end of 06, these 2-year ARMs had started to circulate. They had to come due. They had to refinance their house, and they had to now not only pay 2.5% interest, they had to pay a reasonable interest rate plus, just a regular amortization schedule. They had to be paying principal down every month. These payments, in some instances, were 4 and 5 times the original payment. If they were paying $1,000 a month, now their payment was $4,000 or $5,000. That's when this all started to go bad. It's when the companies that had bought mortgage-backed securities tried to find a way out.
Right.
There were investors that moved in to try and help them do that. And as these people started falling behind in their loans, these people would negotiate with them to take whatever the value of the house was, with prices still on the rise because no one realized the amount of poison that had been injected into the system.
Yeah, I don't believe nobody knew the amount of poison.
No, I think somebody did, but the public didn't. The people who were falling behind in their mortgages didn't. And I have to say, too, Fannie and Freddie spread this stuff out so far and so wide that you would have had to really have been in on the ground floor of this to realize how many millions, billions, trillions, whatever it was in dollars of these securities were floating around in the open market. And I bet that if there's any FOIA left in this country, someone could find out that many, many, many of these packages went out. And if those loans were rapid rescored, they were in one package. And if they were actual qualified mortgages, they were in another package.
If you were on the witness stand, somebody asked you to point a finger at one place, if people wanted to understand who is responsible for this, could you do it?
I probably couldn't name a name, but I can tell you that it was Fannie and Freddie because every mortgage seminar that we went to, remember this little Fannie Freddie junket they just had in Chicago that people were upset about the $600,000 they spent? Those are relatively common in the mortgage business. We used to go to them once or twice a year. And Fannie and Freddie were there, and they might have as well have set up a carnival booth. I mean, they were so excited about the fact that if you were a new mortgage business and you could get a wholesale line of credit, you could rapid rescore and qualify 500,000 people in a year, and they would back and buy everything you could send them.
It was on this basis that all the executives there were paying themselves these bonuses, right?
Yeah, because that's exactly what was happening. The number of mortgage brokers in this country, I would bet you, doubled or maybe even tripled between '98 and 2004. I know that the office I originally worked for, the owner and 2 other brokers were the only brokers in the field. By the time Rapid Rescore really got going, he had 20 brokers in the field, and he sat in the office and did nothing but pull in wholesale lines of credit. And these wholesale lines of credit, oftentimes, well, one of the big banks that was doing wholesale lines was WAMU, and they're no more.
Yeah. WAMU, and they are no more. And a lot of others are no more either. And Lehman is no more. You know, Lori, I have some questions about the cases that you're testifying in. I know you can't tell me. I know you don't want me to. So, could we get your number and stay in touch with you down the line, months or so, whenever this shakes out, and query you further about it when it's safe for you?
Sure.
Okay, good. Don't hang up. Snerdley will get your name. By the way, would you like an iPad?
I have one, but thank you very much.
Okay, all right.
You could make me just as happy by just continuing to do what you're doing.
Well, I appreciate that. More than you know. I really appreciate that. Hang on, and we'll get a number and find a way to stay in touch with you, but only when you... Countrywide's no more either, by the way. Friends of Angelo. So whenever it's safe for us to talk to you, for you to tell us more about it. No, Wachovia is not gone. It's Wells Fargo now. At any rate, we'll stay in touch, and I appreciate you're doing that. She's got to testify in 3 cases. And I would love to ask her about the cases, but I'm not going to put her in that position. We'll find out from her later. Thanks, Lori, very much. We'll be back and roll right on, right after this.
Rated the #1 talk radio personality of all time, Rush Limbaugh, on the EIB network. According to a leading authority, when presented with a problem, 95% of Americans sit on their hands while only 5% do something about it.
I thought we'd get a couple of things on the way to the party.
Yeah, grab a shopping cart.
Oh, it's stuck. I guess we'll just have to carry everything.
Let me try. There, see?
Don't be part of the problem. Be part of the solution.
Boy, I'm thirsty. You want a soda?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, it didn't take my $1. Well, that's okay. I can wait.
Try it again, like this. Here you go.
If you have a friend that gives up too soon, you know what to do.
You know, I haven't seen Bob, and it didn't start. Maybe we should call Mother.
Hey, you give up too easy. Give her another try. Why don't we listen to Rush on the way?
Who's Rush?
A guy you really gotta get to know.
Listen to Rush on the EIB network.
I rode with my kid in the front seat to soccer practice. Does that make me a bad parent?
Yes, it does. And you would have known if you read Bad Living magazine.
There's a new study that shows people who eat red meat from cows that inhaled secondhand smoke are 3% more likely to get sick than people who don't. Should I be scared?
Yes, and that's the point of Bad Living. When you subscribe to Bad Living, you'll be reminded of all the ways you put yourself and those around you in danger every day.
I didn't even realize that my SUV was endangering other drivers and destroying the ozone hole and increasing our chances of getting hit by a giant asteroid. But since I subscribe to Bad Living, I'm afraid of almost everything, and I want everyone around me to be too.
Call now and receive the bonus pamphlet, The Top 1,500 Things You Should Be Terrified About.
I called, and I'm glad I did. The first issue told me how to get rid of all the sharp objects in my home.
Call 1-800-PARANOID and receive our latest issue of Bad Living magazine, featuring 10 reasons you should be afraid to leave your home.
Thanks, Bad Living.
New at Club Gitmo, life skills training. So you can thrive on the outside when you leave our tropical retreat from Jihad.
I love my life skills training classes. When I first came to Club Gitmo, they just asked me a lot of personal questions. Now I ask the questions in class.
You'll learn all about personal finance, computer skills, how to read a wiring diagram, and improve your English to make you a lot less suspicious.
My favorite teacher is Mr. Shabazz. He has taught me to hate America even more than I thought possible. The only good cracker is a dead cracker. Fight the power. Fight the power. Fight the power. Fight the power.
Life skills training, now at Club Gitmo, your tropical retreat from Jihad.
What about a whole wheat cracker?
Hate all the crackers.
Fight the power.
Ladies and gentlemen, a message to all our servicemen and women from your Commander-in-Chief, President Barack Obama.
For far too long, we've given medals and citations for strength and bravery in battle, ignoring those who didn't fire their weapon or attempt to achieve their objective. Let me be clear, from this day forward, that will change.
Introducing the Yellow Heart, an historic new presidential medal awarded posthumously for restraint in combat.
The Yellow Heart symbolizes my administration's attitude of fair play on the battlefield, no matter what the cost.
And there's so much more. Now, if you desert your unit, you'll receive the AWOL Ribbon of Peace. And for treacherous behavior beyond the call of Allah, you'll earn the works and plays well with the enemy, knife in the back with gold leaf.
Take it from me, John F. Kerry. I was in Vietnam, and I wouldn't throw these over a fence for the world.
The Presidential Medal Collection. Combat medals for everyone.
One more thing, Lori, when she was talking to Mr. Snerdley, communicating ways we can stay in touch with her, she said one more thing that she wanted me to pass on to you, and that is that everybody involved in this, Fannie and Freddie, all these various mortgage bankers, all the government entities involved here knew when this thing was going to blow up. They knew when Judgment Day was coming. They knew when the jig was up. They knew when the paper was coming due. They knew when all this was going to blow up. They knew it was going to blow up in 2008. They knew, therefore, that they could blame all this on George Bush. They could blame all of this on the party of the president serving in the White House, which is what happened and which is what continues to happen to this day. Now, to translate what Lori said, what actually, to synthesize it, it's very difficult to do this because it simplifies it more than it should be. The housing meltdown, real problem with it was, based on, this is my opinion after listening to her, everybody from the mortgage brokers to Fannie and Freddie and the executives there, anybody involved, they were all turned into commission salespeople, is what happened. They got money for every mortgage they processed. It didn't matter whether it was a good mortgage or a bad mortgage, they got a commission on it. And when the government leaned on them to loan to the poor, they were more than happy to do so because they had all been converted into commission salespeople who could also qualify anybody for a mortgage with this temporary rapid rescore. So it was the industry, Fannie and Freddie and the mortgage brokers taking care of themselves. Did you hear her say that Fannie and Freddie were like a carnival? They set up booths explaining rapid rescoring of credit rating right out in the open at seminars. Which means they were granted permission to temporarily qualify anybody who wanted a mortgage. The people who gave us the mortgage meltdown are all wealthy people. They are all wealthy people, and they knew that it was all coming due in 2008. Ergo TARP, ergo all the other stuff, all the financial panic that you heard about, it was all related to this, and how fortuitous that it comes to fruition, that it blows up right in the middle of the 2008 campaign. Blame it on Bush. And they were, I'm sure, entirely comfortable doing that because Bush had shown he wasn't going to defend himself against any of this. All they had to do was go tell Bush, hey, look, we got a collapse of epic proportions coming unless we do something. Oh, yeah, can't have that. They told Bush that the blame would be on him if the collapse happened. So, yeah, I knew. Yes, I knew that Paulson was Chuck Schumer's guy. I questioned Paulson's choice by Bush the moment it happened. And that wasn't the first choice I was scratching my head over. Yeah, I knew Paulson was Schumer's guy. Wall Street is owned by the Democrat Party, folks. This notion that Wall Street and big business is a bunch of Republicans, who the hell sits on Obama's Jobs Commission? Jeff Immelt, CEO, General Electric. Republican? Really? I get so... She didn't mention, if you listen to her whole call, Lori did not say the words Wall Street one time. And yet, who's out there blaming Wall Street for Obama? And the people on Wall Street are winking all the way to the bank, giving him money for his re-election campaign. Well, back to more mundane matters. Life goes on, and for you thinking about whether you should have a will or a living trust, or whether you should incorporate or form an LLC, because life does go on, and you have these questions that you face as you try to manage life and all this mess. If you're pondering these things, think LegalZoom, because nearly 2 million Americans have found LegalZoom's online process so blessedly simple they haven't needed any assistance. Could do it themselves. Self-reliance, yes. And not only did these people save a small fortune, but courts and government agencies in all 50 states have accepted LegalZoom's high-quality documents. They're legit, they're real. But there are times when you're going to need to ask an attorney if you're on the right track. And guess what? LegalZoom will now connect you with an experienced attorney to answer your questions free. No El Chargo. LegalZoom.com. Super easy technology plus free attorney support now. The attorney support's provided through independent attorneys available in most states. LegalZoom's not a lawyer. Self-help services are provided at your direction. And they've got something I want you to see. The Will. Family Secrets Revealed. It's on Investigation Discovery Wednesdays at 9, 8 Central. And when you watch it, look for a special discount code for extra savings at LegalZoom.com. What a day we have had here. President of the United States gives a speech in Osawatomie, Kansas yesterday, in which he is finally forthcoming, tells us exactly who he is, tells us that this country has never worked since the days of its founding. This country has been immoral, unjust, and unfair since the days of its founding. And he's out to change it. I've tried to tell people from the get-go when I said I hope he fails that this is what we were dealing with. And now, to give a speech like yesterday, which is a campaign speech, running for re-election on the premise that this country has never worked, and it'll only work if Obama gets to totally transform it. And then we hear what really happened in the mortgage fiasco. And we learn that people we think looking out for us are just scamming us. Instinctively, you probably suspect it, know it, whatever, but what's it feel like to actually hear it firsthand?
You're right on target with the EIB network. A silent epidemic is sweeping the Democratic Party. Bird brain flu. Its symptoms are unmistakable. There's memory loss.
You say you don't support the war in Iraq now, but you voted for it.
I don't remember that.
Double standard vision.
Scooter Libby lied to a grand jury.
You didn't complain when Bill Clinton did it.
Yeah, but that was different.
And delusions.
We won the governor's race in New Jersey and Virginia. America's really behind us. We're going to kick butt in 06.
Wow, I feel better now.
And hysteria.
Global warming is melting the polar ice caps. Baby seals are dying.
Bird brain flu affects liberals in the prime of their lives. But there is a cure. Education. Instead of reading a bumper sticker, try picking up a book. Turn off the liberal media and tune into the Rush Limbaugh program.
I was really stuck on stupid, but I feel better now.
Inoculate yourself against bird brain flu. Listen to the Rush Limbaugh radio program, a public service message from the EIB network. And now, a message from the President of the United States.
My fellow Americans, in tough economic times like these, you should not go to Las Vegas and blow all your cash to have fun. Come to where the real action is. Washington, D.C. Why pull a lever on a slot machine when you can take a chance and roll the dice on 1/6 of the economy with national health care? Double down on stimulus spending and win big money for your friends back home. Or if you're a really high roller like me, scare the banks and raise taxes right in the middle of a recession. Come on, 7. Crapped out again. But believe me, you can't lose when you're playing with other people's money. Give me another trillion. Make that 2. And they have great accommodations and food. You can have Kobe beef every night if you want. And when you leave Washington, they comp you with a fat pension and health care that's out of this world.
Travel provided by Pelosi Airlines. Catch an all-you-can-drink flight anytime you like, 24/7.
So what are you waiting for? Come to where the real action is. Washington, D.C. And leave Las Vegas behind.
Oh, it's so easy to love Dancer and Prancer, Donner and Blitzen, Vixen, and especially Rudolph. You know, Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. But what about the other side of the reindeer family? The caribou. The caribou get no cute song, no cuddly cartoons, no Christmas specials. The caribou, they have to fend for themselves in the frozen tundra, uncared for by the liberals. If the truth be known, it's the conservatives who love the caribou. It's the conservatives who care for the caribou, who want to see the caribou go forth and multiply. Conservatives for Caribou is a non-profit organization dedicated to increasing the caribou population. We can double, we can triple the caribou in the frozen tundra, but we need your help, not your money, your support. It'll take a pipeline to double the caribou population. Conservatives for Caribou want that pipeline. Daschle Democrats don't. Call Tom Daschle. Tell him to drop the petty politics. Let the caribou go forth and multiply. Support Anwar for the caribou. And now,
temporary credit scores. Rapid Rescore temporary credit scores for 30-year mortgages. All right, folks, that's it. We got to go. But there's always tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday, right? Yeah. Days are zipping by here. We'll see you then. Thanks for being with us today.